Welcome to the Vault. Thank you for your time. Happy New Year, everybody. Viewing audience, new subs, chat, viewers. Let's get this party started. Happy Monday to everybody. 20 days until the Queen is 52 years of age. Amen. God is good. He has favored the Queen. Blessed her. She's highly favored. Thank you so much for joining me. Proof that Bryan Kohberger is guilty. I will bring you the signs of his demeanor and his actions during, after his arrest. Are the survivors a hint of the intended targets? Two questions. What are the answers? On the 12th, he will go before a judge. We will see what happens in that hearing on the 12th. Will he enter a plea? I'll bring you the said information, and then I will bring you content pertaining to what I think the defense will do in order to get Kohberger off of these offenses. I'll either bring it that day or beforehand, depending on my mood. Thank you so much for joining me. You're now listening to The Vault. Signs of guilt. They were there all along. Prayers for Damar Hamlin. He is to be paid in full after his cardiac arrest. Blessings to him and his family. Let's talk to Mr. Todd Bryan. Dr. Todd has brought commentary 2 days ago, analysis of the probable cause affidavit, and he asked the question, is Kohberger guilty? We will see. I do believe he is. I say yay.
Subscribe to my channel. In addition, consider supporting me on Patreon. Looking at a few of my recent pre-release videos on Patreon, we see inscrutable thumbnails like Drowning in Jealousy, Home Invasion Mystery, and Police Violate the Rights of a Guilty Man. In addition, there are over 150 other videos available on Patreon. My Patreon account can be found at patreon.com/Dr. Grande. The link is in the description for this video. Moving back to this case, first I will offer a brief background of the Idaho quadruple murder case, move to a summary of the probable cause affidavit, then offer my analysis. On November 13, 2022, not long after 4 a.m., 4 college students were murdered in a rental home at 1122 King Road in Moscow, Idaho. 2 other female residents of the house were not attacked or injured. After investigating for several weeks, the police came to believe that a man named Bryan Christopher Kohberger was responsible. During the early morning hours of December 30, 2022, he was arrested at his family's home in Albrightsville, Pennsylvania. Bryan was extradited to Idaho. He has been charged with 4 counts of first-degree murder, as well as felony burglary. The police believe that Bryan acted alone. At the time making this video, Bryan enjoys the presumption of innocence as he remains incarcerated in Idaho. The police really couldn't say much about the case. Therefore, there was a lot of mystery surrounding what evidence they had or didn't have against Bryan. Some of that mystery was alleviated on January 5, 2023, when the probable cause affidavit was released. Now moving to a summary of the probable cause affidavit. The document starts by describing how the police responded to the King Road rental house where the murders took place. They discovered the bodies of the 4 victims, 20-year-old Xana Kernodle and 20-year-old Ethan Chapin were found on the 2nd floor. 21-year-old Kaylee Gonsalves and 21-year-old Madison Nogan were found in a bedroom on the 3rd floor. Next to Madison's body, the police found a tan leather knife sheath. It looked like it was designed for a K-bar knife, like the kind used by the U.S. Marine Corps. The laboratory eventually found DNA on the button snap for the knife sheath. It came from an unknown male. The affidavit refers to the 2 survivors in the house as DM and BF. Other sources indicated that DM stands for Dylan Mortensen and BF stands for Bethany Funk. Investigators were able to reconstruct some of the timeline. On the evening of November 12th, 5 female residents of the rental house, plus Xana's boyfriend, Ethan, were out in the town of Moscow. All 6 of them returned to the house by 2 a.m. They were all asleep, or at least in their rooms, by about 4 a.m. Dylan Mortensen told the police that she was awakened at about 4 a.m. by what sounded like Kaylee playing with her dog in a third-floor bedroom. Not long after this, Dylan thought that she heard Kaylee say something like, "There's someone here." The police think it could have been Xana who said this because she was likely awake. She was on a social media platform at 4:12 a.m. and had received a DoorDash delivery at about 4 a.m. In response to hearing the sound, Dylan looked out of her bedroom door, but didn't see anything. She looked out for a second time when she thought she heard crying coming from Xana's room. At this point, Dylan heard a male voice say something like, "It's okay, I'm going to help you." A security camera was mounted to another residence less than 50 feet from the west wall of Xana's bedroom. At 4:17 a.m., the camera captured voices or a whimper, followed by a loud thud. Also, there was a dog barking. Dylan heard crying again and opened her door for a third time. She saw a male that she did not recognize walking toward her. He was wearing black clothing and a mask. The man had bushy eyebrows. Dylan was frozen in shock. The man exited out of the sliding glass door. Dylan locked herself in her bedroom. Just outside Dylan's door, the police found a latent shoe print, which had a diamond-shaped pattern. This corroborated Dylan's story. The police searched the area surrounding the house looking for additional video. They identified a white Hyundai Elantra, which had been in the area. It did not have a front license plate. The vehicle passed the King Road rental house 3 times before the murders. At 4:04 a.m., the vehicle was captured entering the area for a 4th time. It was seen in front of the King Road residence. The driver completed a 3-point turn and drove east. At 4:20 a.m., the vehicle was captured driving quickly out of the area and was on a road that leads to Pullman, Washington. The police believe that the man Dylan saw was the killer, and the murder took place between 4 a.m. and 4:25 a.m., despite their statement that the vehicle drove away at 4:20 a.m. Believing the killer's vehicle drove toward Pullman, the police looked at video from cameras in that area. They found what appeared to be the same Hyundai Elantra driving toward Moscow, Idaho, just before 3 a.m. The vehicle returned to Pullman at about 5:25 a.m. A Washington State University police officer searched the database for white Hyundai Elantra sedans and found one registered in the state of Pennsylvania to a man named Bryan Kohberger. He lived in an apartment in Pullman, 3/4 of a mile away from where the white Hyundai Elantra was captured on video. The vehicle was registered in Pennsylvania, a state that does not require a front license plate. The police looked at the photograph for Bryan's driver's license and noticed that he had bushy eyebrows and generally matched the description that Dylan provided. On November 18, 2022, 5 days after the murders, Bryan registered the vehicle in the state of Washington, so he changed the registration for that car. Investigators tracked Bryan as he left the state of Washington and drove to Albrightsville, Pennsylvania, where his family lived. He arrived at his family's home on December 16. Cell phone data from Bryan's phone was analyzed on November 13 at 2:47 a.m. This is just over an hour before the murders. Bryan's phone left his apartment in Pullman. The phone stopped reporting to the network that same minute, as if it had been deactivated. The phone reported to the network again at 4:48 a.m. It traveled from the Moscow area to Pullman. This movement was consistent with the movement of the white Hyundai Elantra captured on video surveillance. Cell phone data also revealed something else. On at least 12 occasions from June 2022 through the day of the murders, the phone had been in the area of the King Road house. All of the visits, except for one, were in the late evening or early morning. The cell phone returned to the area of the house at about 9:12 a.m. on the day of the murders. This makes it look as though the killer returned to the scene of the crime. The police in Pennsylvania collected trash from the Kohberger family residence in Albrightsville, Pennsylvania. Bryan's DNA matched the DNA on the knife sheath found at the crime scene. Now moving to my analysis. Based on information from the affidavit and other sources, do I think that Bryan Kohberger is guilty of the murders? Let's take a look at the evidence both for and against the idea that Bryan is guilty, starting with the inculpatory factors. Bryan's DNA was found on a knife sheath next to one of the murder victims. The injuries that the victim sustained are consistent with a knife that would fit in that sheath. The knife was never found. Bryan's vehicle was seen entering the area of the King Road house right before the murders and was seen speeding away right after. Bryan changed the registration of his vehicle 5 days after the murders. Bryan's cell phone was in the area of the King Road house several times in the months leading up to the murders. It was mostly there during hours consistent with stalking behavior. On the night before the crime and resumed reporting not long after the crime. His phone returned to the area of the King Road house several hours after the murders. An eyewitness in the house was close to the killer and was able to get a good look at him. Bryan matched the description of the man she observed. Not long before his arrest, when the FBI had Bryan under surveillance, they noticed that he washed the inside of his vehicle. They said he did not miss an inch. They also noticed that Bryan would take the trash out of his parents' house at night while wearing surgical gloves. On one occasion, he dumped the trash in a neighbor's garbage container at about 4 a.m. Moving to the exculpatory factors, the killer could have stolen, borrowed, or otherwise obtained the knife sheath from Bryan, or Bryan could have simply touched a sheath owned by the killer. Just because the sheath was in the King Road house doesn't mean that Bryan was also in the house. The man who was presumably the killer was wearing a mask. There's no way to be sure that it was Bryan. The witness saw bushy eyebrows, which Bryan had, but a lot of people have this feature. Somebody could have taken Bryan's phone and his car, or perhaps Bryan was only the driver, like his passenger committed the murders without Bryan's knowledge. It appears as though Bryan was stalking someone at the King Road house, but that doesn't mean he was the killer. As far as Bryan taking the trash out while wearing gloves, perhaps he does not want to get his hands dirty. When considering all the evidence, do I think that Bryan Kohberger is guilty? Yes, I believe he is guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. As I mentioned, he has the presumption of innocence. A jury will have to decide his fate. Moving to the next section, here are my thoughts in a few areas that stood out to me in this case. Item number 1. There is this theory that Bryan was planning the perfect murder. This is supported by him being a PhD criminology student who was described as exceptionally intelligent. I think the probable cause affidavit removes any doubt about this theory. If Bryan is the killer, his motive was based on obsession, revenge, and/or sexual domination, not because he was trying to plan a perfect murder. One amazing aspect of this case is that Bryan was seemingly so functional, yet capable of allegedly committing a crime like this. He stood out as socially awkward, bizarre, and strange, but nobody thought he was homicidal. He didn't have a great disguise, but he had a good disguise. Item number 2, if Bryan is guilty, it amazes me that a highly intelligent PhD student who studied criminology would make so many mistakes. He left his DNA on an item that could be tied directly to the crime. It wasn't like it was on something innocuous, where there may have been a non-homicidal explanation for how it could have ended up there, like some type of consumer good that he touched in a store, and then one of the residents bought it and brought it back in the house. It was on something that the killer would have touched. Bryan left his phone on when he visited the King Road house multiple times in the months leading up to the murders. He didn't realize how suspicious it looked that he turned his phone off during the murders. He used his own vehicle to drive to and from the residence of the victims, and he left a witness alive. Item number 3, one of the more confusing elements revealed in the affidavit is the encounter between Dylan and the killer. Why did she lock herself in her bedroom but not call the police? There are several possibilities here. Perhaps there were substances in the area and she did not want to draw the attention of law enforcement. Maybe she had recently used substances and was impaired. She could have wanted to call the police, but her phone was not in the bedroom with her. Maybe Dylan didn't believe that the person she saw was a killer, or that they did anything bad at all. This one doesn't seem to fit with her locking the door, but it's still possible. And the last possibility is that she had an acute stress response and froze. Let's examine this last possibility more closely. When a person encounters a life-threatening situation, they often have a reaction that's referred to as the acute stress response or the freeze, fight, or flight response. The order of freeze, fight, or flight is different depending on the conceptualization. Some researchers say fight, flight, or freeze. Others just have fight or flight. There are a lot of variations. 1, 2, or all 3 of these reactions can occur as part of any given response. Some people may only fight. Some may only freeze. Others may exhibit flight, but will fight when they are cornered. It all depends on the person and the circumstances. The freeze behavior is referred to as tonic immobility or non-volitional freeze response. The idea behind it is that if an organism freezes, an attacker may lose interest. This is helpful for animals, but not very good for humans. Also, with some animals, the vision of predators is highly dependent on movement, so freezing can make an organism hard to see. Again, this is not really helpful in most confrontations involving humans. If one human is attacking another and the victim freezes, the human who's attacking is not going to look around and say, "Where'd they go?" Human vision is not dependent on movement like we see with many animals. The acute stress response theory is interesting, but even if Dylan had a freeze response, it's very unlikely it would have lasted more than a few minutes. It does not adequately explain waiting for hours. There is no such thing as a deep freeze response. Item number 4.
No deep freeze.
If Bryan was the killer, why did he leave Dylan alive? There are a few possibilities. 1, Bryan had tunnel vision and didn't even see her standing there. I think this is unlikely, but technically possible. 2, Bryan had killed the person he intended to kill. His mission was complete. 3, Bryan was physically exhausted. He simply didn't have the energy to commit any more homicides that night. 4, Bryan figured that Dylan had already called the police because any reasonable person would have called the police under those circumstances. With the police already on the way, killing another person would have taken more time that Bryan did not have. This is supported by the fact that he sped away from the scene instead of just driving away at a normal speed. He risked attracting attention when in reality he didn't need to. Now moving to my final thoughts. The victims in this case had no idea there was a killer stalking their residence. There was no way for them to predict that one day he would simply walk in or break in and viciously attack them. Again, they didn't even know he existed or was stalking them. They probably felt safe, especially considering how many people were in the house. I imagine it never occurred to them that a crime like this could happen. Sometimes a crime is so brazen, unusual, unexpected, and horrific that it catches people off guard. It enters the realm of the unthinkable. That's my update on the case of Bryan Kohberger. Please put any opinions and thoughts in the comments section. They always generate an interesting dialogue. As always, I hope you found my analysis of this topic.
All right, everybody, that's Dr. Todd. Thank you so much for following the content of this great network. Welcome to the vault. We're going to chop up what he said in this commentary. Thank you for joining me. Once again, if you'd like to donate to this great network, $BeGanji, 129 Cash App, all stickers and chats are welcome during this live stream. Any content I do not discuss during the live is posted to my community board. If you need verification for the latest updates pertaining to this story line, thank you so much for your time. One moment, please. Thank you, Miss Brittany, for the donation. Dr. Todd, his analysis pertaining to the said information. Obsession, revenge, sexual domination could be one of the motives for killing these kids. He did not wear a great disguise. He made so many mistakes. Acute stress response, fight, flight, or freeze, or in one of those orders could be the reason why DM did not call 911. Most people may fight when cornered. Perhaps he didn't hurt her because she was not a threat. I've heard that mentioned before in another content, that she wasn't a threat. He mentions that the person freezing could cause the perpetrator to lose interest, because at this point he realizes they're not afraid of me, or they don't appear to be afraid, and I can't get any jolt, excitement out of someone that's not going to cry, moan, scream, beg for life. She wasn't a target. Is this true? Because that is in my title. Did he leave her alive and the other young lady because they were not his intended target? He was tired. He didn't see her. He does not believe that this young lady had a deep freeze response, which would be the many hours that went by without calling 911. Could it be he had tunnel vision? He says unlikely. He got his target, the four he came for. Once again, physically exhausted. Possible. He assumed she called the police once he saw her standing in the doorway. I better get out of here. Allegedly, he sped away because that's what was said about the car at the gas station, CCTV footage. The car was speeding by. So did he speed away? Where was the car? We do not even know where the car was parked. The fact that he mentions the kids possibly didn't even know they had a stalker, felt safe in their house, so many of them living together. Never occurred to them that someone was lying in wait all these months. There's a guesstimate of 5 months. One article says he got there in August, not really sure. But how long was he targeting the victims? Naturally, all that will come out in court, the exact time of the pings of his car being at the scene in the general area of 1122 King Road. I will now give you my commentary pertaining to why I believe Bryan C. Kohberger is guilty of the Idaho 4 student slangs. One moment, please. 12 times his phone pings at that location of the house where the children lived. The fact he took his car, and I do believe there will be evidence to show that his car was seen also in the general area on CCTV footage. The gas station video of the car speeding by, turning the phone on and off before leaving the house at 2:47 a.m. It cut back on 2 hours and 1 minute at 4:48 a.m. Phone pinging exactly at the house at November 13th. The fact that he didn't go directly home, which is a 15-minute drive, 15 minutes or less, his pings show him out off of different highways out of the direction of his house. Did not take an hour to get from 1122 King Road to his apartment on campus. So he was doing something in that time, and I believe he was discarding items and possibly the weapon. The fact that he returned back that morning, 9:30, left his house at 9 a.m., they have that on the phone ping, and he sat outside the residence for 9 minutes, 9 to 14 minutes. Doing what exactly? Is this the point when he got up that morning, he realized, or maybe that night when he finally got home, oh my goodness, I don't have the sheath for the knife. I've got to go back to get it. but maybe it registered to him once he got to the scene, I can't go in this house because I left somebody alive. I do believe he knew how many people lived in the house if he was stalking them. So he knew he couldn't go back in. Somebody's camera, doorbell camera, could catch him going in and get a better view of his makeup, race, hair texture, so on and so forth. But then one could say, well, he should have known to jazz up, dress up, put on a disguise. You've already been in her house. You don't see the police there, ambulance there, so you know nobody's there. You should have known the cars were there. Same ones were there when you left, if you were smart and paying attention. But we also know that he's a dumb criminal. But maybe he just decided, can't get the sheath. Went back also to be nosy, see who showed up and didn't show up. The fact that he became chatty at school after the murders. Appearance, disheveled, scatterbrain looking, acting up and down, because obviously he's an emotional creature who's off the Richter scale. The fact he didn't fly back to Pennsylvania. Why not? The father flying in to drive back. Did he ask his father at the last minute to take the ride? Because perhaps he knew about the bolo, which I believe he knew about the bolo. Let me rephrase that. He knew about the bolo of the Hyundai. He wanted daddy to go back. And I believe for that 1 month that he stayed on campus, finishing his courses, he knew the bang was on its way. He knew they were coming. So this contradicts why would he be washing the car once he got to Pennsylvania? The other sign that he knew they were on their way. They were going to get the DNA by all means necessary, Mr. Kohberger, and they did. Seen cleaning the car once he got home with surgical gloves. Now we have to ask, did he wear gloves at the scene of the crime? Did he take any items to Pennsylvania with him, such as the knife? Did he clean his car after the murders? Because you cleaning the car vigorously in Pennsylvania is very, very strange. So that would lead one to believe that you got in your car in bloody clothes. Where are the clothes? Did he leave them behind at the apartment, wash them, throw them away, throw away the shoes? Bloody footprint at DM's door. Where are the shoes? They are believed to be the van make shoes, Vans. Did he throw away those shoes? Or did he take them with him on his trip? Did he wash any of his clothes? 4 a.m. dumping trash out into neighbors' trash bins with gloves on. Highly suspicious. This goes to show cause that you are guilty, because who drives all this way across the country to get up in the middle of the morning dumping trash with surgical gloves on in other people's dumpsters, trash bins? That is so illogical. Now, some people will take trash to other places, perhaps because maybe they live in an apartment. They don't want people knowing what they're throwing away, such as, certain valuable items, which some people say, what difference does it make you throwing away trash? But, OCD, some people dump things in different places. I've done it before, dump stuff in other dumpsters, just because you're around nosy people, don't want them seeing what I'm throwing in the garbage. So some people do pilfer through and might stop you before you get to the bin. Can I have that? I see that, that type of stuff. So you dump it somewhere else, put it in your car and dump it somewhere else. But naturally, I haven't killed anybody, and it wasn't anything related to a murder. We know that he registered the car because his tags were expiring the 30th of November. But I do not believe he had any intention of bringing the car back. He knew the bolo was out on the car, and I think he took the car home to possibly sell it or leave it and bring another car back or fly back and buy another car in the state of Washington or Idaho. He knew he was being trailed. That was the reasoning for taking trash out to other dumpsters of the neighbors. He is a stupid criminal because he should know that the FBI can get his DNA at any time by watching and surveying, which they did. So the very thing he was trying not to do as to be apprehended, that is how he got caught, besides leaving the sheath behind with his DNA on it at the crime scene. And that DNA, his DNA matches the DNA on the sheath. Did he leave any DNA behind at the apartment, such as the DNA of the victims? When he brought back his clothes, did he bring back his clothes, or he had a change of clothes in his car? Did he go somewhere out in the wilderness to change into those clothes and dump those clothes? If he wore his clothes back to the house, naturally, you would swipe things such as your seats, the car door, inside, outside, going inside of the house, taking them off, passing a wall, carpet, tile, floor, so on and so forth, tracking blood inside of your apartment. God forbid he had carpet. And if it's older apartments, they have carpet in them. That means he tracked blood back in the house, and that will have DNA from the victims. Washcloth, dry towel, victim's blood. Did he leave the knife behind inside of one of the victims? And they have not let us know that, because he stabbed 4 people, and I would assume vigorously. Did the blade break off in one of the victims? It's already shameful what he's done. Unhuman to kill people in this manner for no reason. But could it be that he broke off the knife? It is alleged that this is a heavy knife. I don't know if it could break off, how much force would need for the blade to break, but who's to say he didn't hit bone or cartilage in the victims? Very sick and macabre thought. But the thought of the crime is macabre because the act is macabre itself. Did they think to check trash dumpsters nearby his apartment, near the house, and possibly the landfill? Obsession. Was he obsessed with one of the girls, Kaylee, Maddie, Xana? Obsessed with their friendship, camaraderie. He didn't have any friends. He didn't have a good rapport with women or men, and possibly not even his own family. Did he find them on social media and became obsessed with their photographs, videos, and became jealous, envy-hearted? He wanted to sexually dominate them. It's told he did not date. Nobody knows of anybody he's dated recently or in high school or as a young man. He wanted something that he felt like he was cheated of, which is camaraderie, love, attention, affection. Did Bryan Christopher Kohberger feel cheated out of a life he felt he so much deserved? Could not understand why nobody wanted him in an affectionate manner, why a certain type of female did not desire him, want him, be friends with him, why people didn't gravitate towards him. That is the reason he's a narcissist, overly chatty when he feels like it. But it is said that when the subject came up of the murders at the schoolhouse, he was numb, quiet. Of course, because he's the one who killed them. I'm not going to draw any attention to myself talking about those kids. I killed them. I'll just let everybody else talk. And exactly, he didn't turn himself in when the bolo came out. My other proof that he's guilty. Because a sensible, honorable person would have gone to the police station to say, hi, my name is such and such. I live in Washington. I'm a student. I also own a Hyundai Elantra. Feel free to take my DNA. Feel free to check my hands, wrists, my body. Asked to be excluded as a suspect. Thank you for joining me. You are now listening to The Vault. I will now drop the link for anyone who wants to come up and give their opinion pertaining to the signs of his guilt and the fact that 2 females were left behind. Did he leave them behind because he killed who he wanted? Was no mistake, was no tunnel vision, no erratic running out. I saw her standing there, but I didn't want her. I didn't come for her. I didn't come for the other one on the bottom floor. Because indeed, if he was stalking these people by social media and coming to the house, he would have recognized everybody coming and going at some point in their car make, who lived on what floor. You can Google the apartment and address itself to get the layout of the house, as we all have done. And I refuse to believe that he did not Google the address and get the layout of the house. So he would have used deduction of who lived where by watching. That would defeat the purpose of going to the house 12 times. He wanted something out of that house and he got it. But he also got caught because he's a dumb criminal. And all the studying of psychology and certain type of mindsets, criminals wanted to gather information at the Pullman Police Department as an intern, got him nowhere because he's a fool. And he's a sinner. And you cannot walk the earth stealing victims and think you're going to get away free. He didn't. Amen. Thank you for joining me. What will his defense be? I do believe he will implicate somebody in the murders of the Idaho 4. That is my assertion. That Bryan Kohberger will implicate somebody in the murders. And you can say that you heard it here, January 9th. Queen said it. We'll wait to see. But I do believe he's going to implicate somebody in the murders. When he realizes the evidence is too overwhelming, he will drop a name. And it does not mean that they actually helped or conspired, but he will feel trapped and need to make up something. Thank you for joining me. Hit the link and join the panel to give your opinion. 171 viewing. Amen. Well, if he needed any attention, he wouldn't have gone to the doctor. That'd have been too suspicious, going to a doctor after killing those kids, because that's what they look for in crimes, in shootings. Anybody going to the emergency room. Make this live count. 39 minutes in. If you need to refer to the information at the beginning of this live stream, Dr. Todd is the source. Know that his parents of Miss Gonsalves do want the death penalty for Mr. Kohberger. Some people do not believe in the death penalty. You are entitled to your opinion pertaining to death. Some of us do believe in the death penalty. He stole 4 lives. How's it fair that he would get to walk around? Naturally, if the death penalty is rendered, he won't get killed the next day. He'll sit on death row for at least 10 years But Idaho don't put a lot of people down, possibly. So he might get a quick needle to the arm. Well, he should have known he was going to be seen. You're driving around the city. You've been over there 12 times. How can somebody not know your car? What's going to be interesting if somebody comes forward to tell they've seen the car over there. Oh, how interesting that would be. Because, see, everybody's not like those kids. I do believe those kids were oblivious to what is common sense. And it's no disrespect to the dead, but those kids did not pay attention to stuff. It's obvious. Because there's no way in hell I wouldn't have known Kohberger's car outside of my house. They spent too much time out in that back. That was the problem. See, you have to be aware of your faculties. You have to be aware of your surroundings. And the fact that the kids never sat in the front of the house, they sat in the back where their balconies were. Well, the enemy knew that too, because he was watching. And he had enough sense to know this is where they party, is in the back of the house. I do believe at some point in those 12 visits, he ventured to the back of that house, either by that driveway up to the left, right of the property, or he went on Walenta, came down, and he watched. And what would be sick to know that in the foliage, he stood there and nobody paid attention to a tall white man standing in somebody's damn yard, gaping at strangers. You have to be aware of people walking around back and forth. Because I refuse to believe he just sat in the car every time he went over there. He had to get out at some point. We'll see, Tracy. The link is in the chat. Hit the link. Come up. Give your opinion pertaining to the signs that he's guilty and the 2 survivors left behind. Is this the proof that he did not intend to kill them? They were not his intended target. That's not it. Hold on 1 second, Britt. You try it again. I don't know why it's not doing it. It's strange. You have to be aware. That's what's wrong with a lot of young people. They don't pay attention to things that they should. They're too busy worrying about what's on social media and who said what and the latest shoe and purse. That stuff doesn't mean anything when it comes to preserving your life. You have to be aware. You have to watch everything going on. It's not about being nosy. You pay rent somewhere, you have every damn right to sit and watch whatever you want to watch. But that wasn't their priority. I realized that watching Kaylee in the video. When the police showed up the one time in August, she already knew why he was there. Oh, are you here because of the music? And he's like, yeah. And he let him know it'd be $300 fine if it continues. She was oblivious. Not trying to be mean, but it's like, I just got a feeling even in that video, perhaps she just didn't care. Okay, so what? We got the music up. It's loud. Because as I said before 2 weeks ago, I was praying that these kids weren't killed because of the music being turned up, bothering somebody. Because I don't know who lives in that house where the fence is. Who's to say that's not a private homeowner? Tired of listening to your music, tired of listening that you all gather. People murder people for various reasons. Didn't have to be anybody obsessed stalking them. But now I wonder if indeed this is the stalker she was speaking of. And what did she mean by stalker? Was she being literal or just a bit exaggerative? We will never know. You better be aware of your surroundings, because that is how most people get hurt. That is how most houses are broken into. That's how people are kidnapped, robbed, sexually assaulted, because you're not paying attention to the people walking around, coming and going. And that's what the perpetrator wants. It's for you to be oblivious. Welcome, Brittany from North Carolina. What do you have to say about the proofs that I've mentioned pertaining to the evidence in the affidavit and his actions thereafter being in Pennsylvania?
I think you're 100% correct. I think with, the DNA, the camera surveillance, his phone data, that's not really something you can get yourself out of. I mean, I've heard, some conspiracy theories of people saying, oh, someone could have set him up. No.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean,
but you got to explain how somebody could get your car that many times without your knowledge, and you just moved to Washington. So that means basically you gave a complete stranger your car morning, noon, and night to ride around the city while you're in school working. Nobody's going to believe that.
Right. And then, I would be outside cleaning your car with gloves.
That sounds like something a woman would do with a man. I loaned him my car if I wasn't working or I didn't have to go to work. I loaned him my car. But because we know, like with the case with Eliza Fletcher, he did use that girl's truck to kidnap the white lady.
Oh, yeah, he did.
Yes, he used her truck. He probably used her car truck when he, raped that other girl the year before. Who's to say? But 12 times and you work and go to school, I doubt it.
Right. Yeah, there's just too many things. There's too many things against him. But yeah, I could definitely see him trying to implicate someone.
Yeah, he's going to do that. So let's go there. Who's he going to implicate?
I don't know. Could it be the roommate that saw him? Could he try to?
Hey, could it be your daddy?
It could be. It could be anybody. Just because he thinks clearly he's not smart.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not as smart as anybody wants to give him that credit for. But I do question the knife thing. Where is the knife? Maybe they're just not telling us.
Yeah.
Because if he didn't have...
That would be so sad to find out it broke off on one of the victims.
But if he doesn't have the sheath, I don't know much about knives, of course. But I can't imagine it's something he could have put in his pocket. So, when the roommate saw him, I don't recall.
He walked in, ran in, pulled the knife out, threw the sheath on the bed.
Right. So I'm saying when Dylan sees him leaving, she doesn't mention him having it in his hand. So it makes me wonder, if it was left there.
That's a very good point. You could tell what he looked like through eyebrows, but you didn't say, I noticed blood and a weapon. Very good point. That was not mentioned in the affidavit. Oh, by the way, he was running past me with a weapon. Running past me bloody. Lights on, lights off. So we don't even know if the lights were on or off. So this is why people are questioning the bushy eyebrows. And it's not to say it wasn't him. It's just that you don't know if the lights were on, lights were off.
Right.
Door crack, you standing in the door. Which is it?
And like I said, I don't know a lot about knives. But from what I've understood with them saying fixed blade, that would lead me to think that it's not a knife that can fold, that he could have put in his
No, it's not
pocket.
a foldable knife. I've read that already. It's not.
Yeah, so it makes me wonder if the knife...
If he took it, he walked out with a bloody knife. Dear God. That's even worse.
Unless it's there. And we just don't know that.
Well, maybe he heard somebody opening the door. That's why he come out of there. I don't know. So we don't know the situation, because if somebody's not really telling the whole truth, that's gonna be that's a problem. Even though you've got evidence, because I'm leaning on faith. See, I don't walk into these cases negatively about the police, the evidence, because I already know that once you call the state police and the FBI, I ain't worried about the suspect. I know what they're gonna do. I know they have the tools to catch you quicker than the regular police department. Because as they said, they're using drone footage, satellite footage, all that. They were trailing his ass the whole time, all the way across the country. It was the most bizarre thing I've ever heard. But nonetheless, he was on the radar the 29th of November.
And that's kind of disturbing, thinking, that he wasn't brought in for questioning and things.
Yeah, I have a problem with that. I have a problem with you not bringing him in. I have a problem because he's close proximity. So he should have been the first person when you first saw the car. The Washington Police Department, the Washington State University, he should have been brought in. Hi, sir, can we talk to you? We'd like you to come down to the station. That should have been a wrap. And then you took his DNA, checked out his body, and then watched him, and then wait for the stuff to come back from the lab.
Right.
You got a swab from him day one, from his own body, blood, saliva, all of that.
Right. They mentioned him bringing multiple coffee cups into class afterwards.
So that's what I'm saying. So that shouldn't even be a problem. So really, you shouldn't even need to do the ancestral DNA. Now, that's a good point. Very good point. See, there's always something you forget about. Because the guy just told that. Coming in late, coming in disheveled. So you want us to believe he was walking in the classroom with gloves on with the coffee cup? The guy never said, oh, yeah, by the way, he had on gloves.
Right. I would think that would be important.
Very good point. So that means they saw him, his name probably came up, but you didn't actually try to get DNA from him. So I have a problem with that as well, because I don't think it would have taken a whole month to get DNA, because naturally he had to empty his own trash can.
Right. Or you would even think that they could have worked with the campus security at his school to get something.
But they should have just brought him in anyway. Once you got an ID on the car that's a make of what you're looking for, you just should have went to him directly. Hi, sir. How are you doing? We need to talk to you. We need to talk to you about a crime that took place in Idaho. We do believe there was a car there that was a witness. Just say it the same way you did when you gave us the bolo to the public. We believe there was a car there. We noticed that you also drive a Hyundai. So if you wouldn't mind coming in talking to us, he could have folded right then. So you don't know because you never asked. You didn't never bring him in because that's never been mentioned. So I don't believe they brought him in. And you know you couldn't have brought him in because you let him go all the way across the country and served a warrant. So he really should have been gotten right in Washington. So that's puzzling to me.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I think they did a really good job, but
they did a great job. But you got to remember, he was free a month, so that's not good for the general public. So that's a problem.
Especially, considering that he's on a campus with,
that's
another
what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's scary.
Said, we leave our doors open here, so that was not good, and that's why Moscow had to take back that he wasn't a threat to the public. He is a threat. You're trying to put the motive and say, well, I think it was targeted, so he got who he wanted. He's done. Nah, that's bullshit. He wasn't done.
Unless he had to be because the knife was broken.
I'm talking about done killing.
Oh, yeah. No, I don't know that I believe that he would have been done.
No, he wasn't done. So that's why they had to take it back. He was a threat to the public. You didn't have a killer. You didn't have a suspect arrested. So long as you don't have a suspect arrested, they are a threat. You can't assume a person's not going to kill somebody else because you think that the people that they kill was a target. That's illogical thinking. Because one, you don't know him. You didn't even know who the killer was. So now that I sit here and think about it, there was no way he should have been walking around a whole month. Naturally, you have to wait on the DNA to come back. But had you went and got him, swabbed him, told him this is, procedural, we're checking all people with this making car as witnesses, blah, blah, blah. They should have got something from him, either directly or indirectly, and then waited on DNA to come back from the lab of the male DNA. It would have been an automatic hit without that ancestral stuff being done.
Right.
Yes, somebody says he has an office too. Exactly. So there should have went there. He wasn't there all the time. Somebody could have got the key to breach the door. Very good point. Very good point.
And did you say that he was there for 9 minutes the next morning?
Yeah, about 9 to 14 minutes. Yeah, because it said he left the house at 9. He got there at 9:12 and left at about 9:21. That's 9 minutes. So in 9 minutes, you already see there's no police, there's no ambulance, there's nobody hanging around, there's no crowd. So why do you need to sit for 9 minutes? For what?
Makes me wonder if he maybe had pulled, that parking lot that ran right up
Yeah,
the side of their
sat
house.
up there. Yeah, he probably drove by slow and then sat up there, looked from behind. But the point is, 9 minutes is too long to just sit.
It's strange. I mean, because honestly, I would have thought that, you know, after the killings, he would have went back home then.
That's the
Especially
reason why they know he did this. Besides the DNA, your car's been there too much and it's a dead end. And everybody knows that about a dead end. That's why that's always been said when people are found dead, shot on a dead end. You went there because you knew to go there. Because even in this day and time, there are signs that's going to tell you dead end. You see what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
And even as you start driving, you could use deduction. This is probably getting ready to dead. This road is getting ready to stop. So he's drove all around in there to see what is what up there.
And obviously didn't pay very good attention. I mean, because you would think that in his 12 times of driving around, he would be looking for doorbell cameras or, you know, any sort of surveillance that could have picked him up.
But when you don't care, he had to have known that somebody had a doorbell camera on that street. The house sits right directly in front of the driveway. There's a camera there, obviously. I knew that the first time they put them at the house at 156 and then at 145, then they changed it to 156. Somebody had said in an article or news broadcast that somebody doorbell camera puts them at 156.
Yeah, I think the sister had mentioned that they walked the dog when they got home.
Yeah, so that was early on. So I knew somebody had a camera. And the first person I thought of was that house facing the driveway.
It'd be interested to know his phone data information from earlier in that night. You know, whether he had been to any of the well, I think one of the bars did come out and say no, he wasn't at that location. Yeah. But just to know,
I thought about that night. Did he go into town anywhere near the kids to follow them, and then went home? But it says he left his house at 2 something. But for a couple of hours during that day, about 3 hours, from 5 something to 8 something, the phone's dead. There's no movement. So maybe he was taking a nap or studying. I don't know.
Stupid to leave your phone on when you come back. I mean, I don't know. He
turned it on when he got back. He turned it on when he got back. That's how they know he did it, see.
And then when he came back the next morning, he had it on, correct?
Exactly. So that's why it makes no sense. So somebody said, well, he's going to try to explain. I said, yeah, but explaining 9:30 is no different than trying to explain 2:47 to this time to that time. It's still stupid.
No, I would think the only way you could explain or attempt to explain something like that is, do you have a friend in that area? What is your reason for being in that area? You would have to
explain it. He's not going to be able to explain it.
No.
Because then that means you have to pull up a whole human being.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't know anybody in Moscow. You don't know anybody on that street. You don't know anybody on Queen Road. You have a problem. Or Walenta. You don't know anybody over there.
Do you know when he has to, you may have said this earlier, when he has to enter a guilty or non-guilty plea?
Well, he has a hearing this week. I guess it'll be up to the defense what she recommends. I don't really know. I just assume do it and be done with it. You might as well enter a plea.
I'm assuming that will be a non-guilty plea.
And they'll probably mention bond and all that then.
Yeah, they're not letting him out. That's for sure.
Oh, no, you'd be a fool to give him a bond. Bruno says, I have a feeling someone ID him. Yeah, I
agree. I agree.
Yeah, because that's the thing. Everybody's not like those kids. Those kids were just oblivious. There's somebody on that street has seen that car more than one time. Because I believe that was mentioned a month or so ago. That somebody saw the car at an apartment complex and that woman gave up the information in the video surveillance. So I believe they said the car was driving by slow. So I was trying to figure out, well, where is that at? Where is it? What street is that on? You know, what's the proximity to that street versus the house? Because other people do pay attention to stuff. See, you don't even know if he was targeting somebody else. And apartments go all around that street, Queen Road, up to what would that be, Walenta? All that's broke up houses into apartments. There's no telling what he was doing. Sitting, trying to peek through to get a view of the house.
Yeah, that one video you did that showed all the different angles, that was crazy.
Yeah, from the street corner, before you turn right, which will be going down the street to where the frat house is, you can stand right at the corner and look at their house.
And then if he did say Maggie, or not Maggie, Maddie was his target, it would, if he did know the layout of the house, you know, she had that little light up M in her window.
Yeah, and that's on the back side. Because Kaylee's faces the kitchen, on top of the kitchen. So that means you'd have to be standing on the back side where the drive is up to the apartments.
I agree. I've always kind of thought it was Maddie too. And I don't know why I feel that way. I don't know.
And then he could have been really mad seeing two girls in the bed. Stay, whoa.
I mean, because one would kind of question, I'm not saying anything was inappropriate. Let me be clear when I say this. But, you know, one would kind of question if,
the killer was very angry if he had a target, only one, and there are two girls in the bed together. His mind would be livid. He would be livid. Oh, she's gay? You understand what I'm saying? Because you have to think like how he thinks. He already don't like women. He already can't get along with women. He can't get along with regular people, men or women or children. He's got a warped sense of identity and ideology of what people should be doing. Now my target is in bed with another girl. So imagine seeing the two girls in the bed together, and then let's say he has a problem with homosexuality. That's enough to make him just rip those kids to shreds.
Someone says, I just don't know why the other two. My only thought on the other two would be possibly that, you know, with them just getting the food, that they were still up and maybe they caught him coming downstairs or.
Yeah, that's true, because we don't know if somebody was up, going in the kitchen, getting a soda pop or drink, and he didn't have any choice. And maybe he chased her into the room, could have tried to lock the door, bust the door. But then let's be truthful. That's why you know something ain't right with girl, because we don't know how it went down. But we know these people were up. At least the ones dead were up. So you've got to try to make it make sense how this girl ain't hurt nothing, because we don't know how it played out. We don't know if somebody was running in the kitchen, walking in the kitchen, saw him coming down the stairs bloody. Hey, what are you doing? Fight ensued. They go run around the corner trying to get to safety. See, we don't know.
Yeah, because I have a hard time believing anyone. Well, I guess maybe Bethany. I don't know. Maybe she was asleep. The only one that I could think that maybe was asleep. Because, you know,
but
that it mentions nothing.
Due to the fact that these kids, from the obvious of them getting killed and not even knowing that this person's been stalking their house, they don't have that type of attitude to care about stuff and pay attention.
Yeah, it is strange to me that, you know, Kaylee had made so many comments to her family about, you know, someone maybe following her home from a store, and then she would call and say, oh, no, I'm fine. Or, you know, that she thought she had a stalker, but then at the same time having parties and leaving people inside of your house is a little odd. And then I always go back to the thing about Xana's dad coming to change the locks, and maybe that was something just as simple as, oh, we are leaving a party at our house and we're not here, so she wanted to keep her stuff safe. Or I mean, I don't know, it's interesting. It's crazy.
Well, if he's a registered liberal, he still believes in traditional relationships. That's what that girl told the news, the friend, that he did believe in traditional families. So you can still be a liberal and believe in traditional families. Because I'm a liberal and I believe in traditional families. So you're trying to put logic behind the illogical. And it's very hard to do when you don't know him and the motivation and what he was thinking and what he was thinking when he got to Washington and what, you know, piqued his interest, what pissed him off. Something pissed him off, obviously. Bruno, I don't understand what you're saying.
Well, right. And if maybe, you know, her and Maddie were together all the time, she was just knew something felt like someone was watching them, you know, and just assumed it was her stalker. I mean, I do find it strange that she had mentioned that quite a few times.
You don't know if he sent them things. You don't know if who he messaged. He could have been messaging them on social media. You know, all social media has a way of being messaged. So you don't know if he was sending stuff directly through Messenger, IG Messenger. He could have been sending stuff, could have been making up fake profiles. You don't even know if right now he has alternate phones, burner phones. See, some will say, well, he couldn't have had a burner phone because he was stupid enough to use his own phone. I don't know. But he could have had burner phones for the messaging. I don't know. See, we don't know. We don't know if he was reaching out to these kids directly. Because if I'm watching you, at some point, don't you think I would message you? If I was following you on social media?
I've not thought about this the whole time, but I just did. So,
one thing we do know, he's just not bright. So that's why he really didn't have no business trying to commit no damn crime, because he's just stupid.
So 12 years ago, I owned a business, and it was a business that I would be in all day by myself. People would come in and things like that. It was in a shopping center, and probably, I just thought of this, probably 3 times a week, there would be a caller that would call the business phone, and it was a private number. I would answer it. They would say very inappropriate things. Well, I let it go the first 3 times. Well, one of the last times that it happened, I hadn't had any customers yet that day. However, when he called, he knew what I was wearing. And so that's kind of when I'd had enough. And when I called the detectives, whatever, they found out who it was, and I was extremely stressed in the situation. But that was something the detective told me. He said, typically when they reach out like that, they really, God, I'm trying to remember the wording he used. Something to the effect that they would usually never approach you in public because they're too scared.
Yeah.
But he said, he was telling, he said, of course, change up your routine, the way you go home, yada, yada, whatever. But he was saying,
slow down. How long ago was this, Brittany?
It was before I had my kids. So 12, 13 years ago.
Oh.
And, but he was telling me, he was like, most of the time, these types of people, they don't, if they're going to harm you, they don't reach out. They strike when they're ready, and there's no, there's no warning. So that's interesting.
We have ways now. So that mindset would have possibly been from a long time ago, not now. People have ways now. I can't see any stalker not reaching out, not now.
Well, and the crazy thing about it was he ended up being a firefighter that was across the street from the business. And they had came in there numerous times for like Christmas, like for me to give like a gift card for this thing they did at Christmas and things like that. Mm-hmm. He would stand outside while the other people, but once we knew who he was, because of course they found out who he was and all that kind of stuff. It was interesting. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I just remember, I haven't thought about that until just now, that was one thing that the detective told me, that most of the time, if they're reaching out, they're scared to, approach you, but you never really know either. So.
But imagine once I reach out and you don't respond, or God forbid you curse me out, that's gonna just make it worse. And they've said that anyway about just even liking people, dating people, rebuffing somebody, breaking up with somebody. Once a person feels ignored, that's it right there. That's usually the jump off. So either way, you don't win. If you talk to them, then here comes, oh, can I see you? Can we go to lunch? Can we go to dinner? You don't win. There's no win. Because they want your time and you're not trying to give it to them. So there's nothing you're going to be able to do to satisfy the person. Even if you go out of being polite, you really don't want to be there. Oh, I just didn't want to hurt their feelings. But then next thing they're going to say is, well, you're just leading me on. You can't win.
Yeah, no, because it does leave you to question how to really, react in public. Are you rude?
There's no way to react to nobody stalking you. Everybody knows.
Well, I guess not necessarily stalking, but just someone approaches you, and if you're rude, that could piss them off. It's not gonna matter.
It's not gonna matter what you say. It's not gonna be satisfactory because you don't want them. So it doesn't matter if you're polite. It doesn't matter if you exchange a number. It doesn't matter if you never call back. You don't answer. You curse them out. You are going to be the target regardless, because they have set their eyes on you. So nothing you do will ever matter.
Right.
And the sad thing is, you have to pray that you don't get somebody that eventually wants to harm you. One second here. Turn these lights on. No, Queen, I check all doors. I check locks all day long. Turn lights on, porch lights. I don't trust nobody. I don't know you. My mama didn't give birth to you. I don't know you. Hit the link. Join the discussion. Proof that Bryan Kohberger is guilty, and all the survivors, the hint of the intended targets. Because that is one of the main questions right now on most people's minds. Why do we have 2 surviving victims? Did he see her or not standing in the doorway? Why did he give her a pass? Very interesting. Very scary, though.
It really is. It's terrifying.
So you watched my story about UCLA murder and the sorority sister hearing the girl holler from beneath her in the apartment, and she got up and she called 911 because she heard her screaming and she heard her dog barking. And they didn't even live in the same house.
In my mind, that's just what you do. I mean, yeah.
That's why I don't agree with somebody trying to tell other people how they should think she should have thought. Because somebody did call 911 in this instance of a woman screaming in her apartment, a barking dog. Somebody decided to get the fuck up and call 911. They didn't just lay in her bed and say, well, I'll go to sleep, put my earbuds in. Somebody got up because they knew the girl. Now you see where I'm going? She said, I know the dog does not bark like that. Mm-hmm. Everybody went on and on about this dog. And I kept telling people I can't focus on the dog because I don't know the dog. Until you know the dog's demeanor, until you hear anything about a barking dog, you have to let it ride. But now we have information that a dog was barking in the background.
You know, and regardless, the dog can't tell us anything, whether he barks.
Well, he can't tell us anything. But I'm just saying we now have information that a dog was barking, distorted of a thud, barking, and whimpering.
And I've often thought maybe once the rest of the information comes out, because, you know, we have to consider this is only, you know, whatever the information was to arrest him, that maybe her story would make more sense to us. But still, I can't understand what could be there to make more sense.
But you cut it as soon as you said she shut the door. You cut it. You never said he came back, he banged on the door, he tried to breach the door. You see where I'm going? Because that would definitely make a person say, shit, I'm going to call 911. Somebody's trying to get in my damn bedroom door. You cut it. So you left it dry with an ending of she shut the door, locked the door, and did whatever for 7 hours. There's nowhere to take it after that.
Right. And like I said, I've often thought it could possibly make sense, but I just can't think of what could be there to make sense of why you didn't call for such.
Once you gave the testimony, she shut the door. There's nowhere to take it after that but what she did when she got up. That's it. That's the only missing piece is why didn't she think to call? What did she do when she shut the door? What time did she actually get up? What did she do when she got up? That's it. That's the only thing that's left.
And it's the amount of time that kill, you know, even an hour,
Well, the doctor says it right here in his own commentary. I do not believe there was a deep freeze, which means he don't believe she froze up until 12. And I agree with him. Because he's a doctor, I'm not. And I agree. He says there was no deep freeze response. And even though he don't know her, I don't know her, I don't agree. I don't believe there was no deep freeze either. Because I'm telling you,
Unless she came out of that room afterwards.
If somebody, I'm telling you, what's going to be fucked up if you find out that girl went out that damn room.
And that would make more sense to me, honestly, to explain the deep freeze, if there's such a thing. You know?
Listen, that she tiptoed out and saw dead people?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, but that's going to make it sound worse. How are you going to understand that, Brittany?
I don't know, because I don't know.
You think I'm going to tiptoe out my fucking room and see blood and dead people laying on top of each other or scattered on the floor and then still go back to my room and shut the motherfucking door? Ain't no way.
And now, I know I've told you this.
That's where the flight part should come in. I'm getting to get the fuck out of here. I'm running out of here because I know I didn't go lock the fucking door back. Stay woke. Mm-hmm. You never locked the door back. Let's just say she did go out of here. Let's say she tiptoed out. She ain't never told nobody she slipped up out that fucking room. You would have to be crazier than all get out to go slip out the room, see the dead people, and then go back in your room. And then just sit there for hours and do what? Make up a version? Because that's where this would be going.
Yeah, and either way, we only have her version to go on, it sounds like.
And that's where I have the problem. It's just her version. And it doesn't make sense to me because I told myself today, you want me to pretend to be her and pretend to be in her shoes? Well, I did it today, and that ain't queen. I live in this house. I pay bills in this house. I pay water and rent. And you want me to say in my right mind that I am opening my door and closing my door for some reason while the killer is in the house and I see him walk by the third time and I say I froze. This is my version to the police. I froze. Wouldn't the police even ask me, well, why did you freeze? You always have company in your house. That's my point. I live here. I live here. This is my house. I'm not visiting anyone to just go back and shut the door. I live here. It's off to me. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
a lot of people are acting like she's visiting the house.
And visitor or not, I would still have the same questions. And that's just a lot of people say, it's a party house. She was used to it. But
you wouldn't freeze. But you wouldn't freeze if it's a party house. See, that makes no sense.
And you wouldn't keep getting up because you would just think that it's the normal.
Exactly. I'm tired and sleepy. If I got a problem with the noise, I could just yell and say, hey, you guys keep it down. I'm trying to sleep.
Yeah, and I would love
Tracy says, I believe 100% she went out of that room and saw everything. I believe that. All right, Tracy, hit the link and tell me why you think that.
That's kind of what I'm starting to feel like.
Like somebody here says, yes, that's the point. She felt something was wrong. So what the fuck was she doing? I don't know, Bonnie. This is crazy.
So speaking of, someone said something about contaminating the crime scene.
I think they did not tell us all of the roommates' testimony in the affidavit. I think there is more to be released. I feel really badly for the survivors. All right, Dixie.
Yeah, and we're not victim shaming. Let me say that. I don't feel that it's just hard to understand.
No.
I mean, it just truly is.
This is what a lot of people don't understand, because see, a lot of people are as oblivious as obviously these dead kids and this chick and whoever else. Your wording speaks volumes, just like your actions speak volumes. Okay. Mm-hmm. You can't use the terminology, I'm in a shock, frozen state, frozen shock. Because that alludes that you sensed something was wrong at the moment you saw the guy. And then you shut your door and allegedly locked the door. So you can't just erase that you felt shocked and then locked the door and then went to sleep. Because something made you allegedly freeze, shock, freeze. What was it? Because you realized at the moment you saw the guy in the mask with the bushy eyebrows is attributing to the noise, the whimpering, the thud. You knew that at that moment, and nobody's going to make me believe she didn't think that when she saw him, because she wasn't expecting to see him, knowing her roommates, knowing what time they came home. That means she obviously knew who was in the house with them before everybody retired to their rooms. Checkmate.
And, you know, I'd feel differently if she maybe said everything about open the door 3 times, but didn't mention the cry. She doesn't mention someone's here. She doesn't mention I'm going to help you. If none of those things were mentioned, I don't think I'd feel the way I feel right now.
Laura said she saw a lot more. That sounds about right, Laura. Exactly, Adrian. How did he know to skip her room and go to the others? Snuggie, where you calling from?
Michigan.
What do you have to say about the signs that he's guilty, all the things that we laid out in this live stream?
Well, it's the first time I've caught you live in quite a while. And what I do want to say is I'm very glad that you're being very honest about the Dylan situation.
Okay.
I think there's a lot of people.
I mean, I don't know any other way. Listen, I don't know no other way to be. As I said, I know everybody's not raised the same. Everybody don't think the same. Like they say, a lot of people don't got the freeze, flight, jump out the window type situation scenario. A lot of people aren't oblivious to things. A lot of people do ignore things. I know this, but this is what I'm saying. Due to the fact that she was their roommate, I would assume she would have learned them in a couple of months to know how they navigate and how they act, how they talk. And right. Something I'm saying, it seemed like to me she would have sensed at the moment that when she saw the guy, that wasn't somebody she was expecting to see. Okay, let me call these girls and see, do they know this guy that just walked by my room? That to me is harmless. What's wrong with texting? Hey, do you know this guy that just walked by? I kind of got an uneasy feeling.
Right. Well, they were all part of Greek life, and that kind of seemed like a smaller community where everybody would know each other. And another thing a lot of people missed on the affidavit.
This is my commentary. I will say what the fuck I want to say during my live stream. Soon, whatever I want to say.
The queen says what she wants.
I say what I want to say. Nobody tells me how to think. I didn't get the 51 by going to bed and sleep and lock my door. How about that?
Right. I'm sorry.
You think the queen? No. Let me be honest. Let me be honest with somebody in here. You think the queen has never been in a dire situation where she had to talk herself out of being kidnapped? Don't fuck with me. Don't fuck with me.
My problem with this situation is everybody labeling Dylan as a victim. She is not a victim.
I've talked myself out of a kidnap situation with a knife. So don't come in this playhouse and tell me what I should and shouldn't feel and think about somebody. I was thinking about getting out of that fucking room, and you can best believe, buddy, I got out of there.
Amen.
I talked to my perpetrator and let him know this ain't what you want to do. And when the phone rang, that was my opportunity. And I talked to the person on the phone. It was my grandfather, and he knew something was wrong. Because all I would say is yes, yes, yes. I wasn't conversating. And all he said was, you do what you got to do. Get your ass out of there. He knew. And I hung up the phone. And then the phone rung again for the person who was there. And they got up and walked out of the room with the phone. And I reached up under my mattress, grabbed my wallet and my keys, and I ran for my life. Don't come to the queen with no bullshit.
And that's kind of another thing that bothers me is you would think that she would want to save her own ass. I mean, if you're scared, I don't know. It's just, you would feel like that she would have been worried for herself.
Well, this is something I want to point out that they mentioned in the affidavit, and a lot of people seem to gloss over, is that they mentioned they were able to determine the time of the crime because of their forensic analysis of Bethany and Dylan's phones.
Of their what, baby? So wait, slow down. Of their what?
So they did forensic analysis of Bethany and Dylan's phones, the two surviving roommates, right? And that was a major contributor to them being able to narrow down the time of the crimes. So
wait a minute, I can't hear. Wait. When they got home, you said?
No. In the affidavit, it says they were able to narrow down the time of the crime after the forensic analysis of Dylan and Bethany, the surviving roommates' phones. Clearly, one of them had to have done something on the phone at that point in time that would lead them there. So, did Dylan text somebody? Did she call somebody?
I didn't hear that. I didn't hear that part.
It's in the affidavit, in the paragraph right before everybody's disputing about like the typo kind of thing, where it says the video of the suspect. It says they used that to determine the time of the crime. So clearly, Dylan had her phone. Because as far as we know, Bethany never woke up. So she must have texted somebody. And I'm sorry. And I can't with this shit, with these people being, don't victim blame her. She's not a victim.
That's why I tell people, you can't tell a person how to think. You can't tell a person how they should feel about the information that they're getting, because you don't know the situation that a person's been in themselves. I can speak because I've been in a dire situation. So that's why I can speak about what I'm talking about.
Right, and
I wasn't peeping through the door. I was in there with the person. I'm in there with the person. So my view is totally different than peeping through the crack or standing in the doorway and the perpetrator walked by me. I'm with the perpetrator. Right. So I'm trying to make sure I keep the perpetrator at ease so they don't harm me.
Right, but wouldn't your first instinct, I mean, I understand the freeze thing, like freaking out, not being able to register, but wouldn't you get the fuck out of your window? I would jump out my fucking window and I'd be gone. I understand that self-preservation is the number one thing, but I would have been out that window. I would have been gone.
You're crazy, but you're telling the truth. I understand what you're saying, but obviously that's your mode of thinking. I'm going to jump out my window. Obviously, this wasn't her mode of thinking, so we'll just leave it at that. That wasn't her mode of thinking.
Right, but I'm just saying, like, if she froze in fear, that's what she said. And now I understand. We do not know the entire interview. We don't have all of that. But if I freeze in fear, you're not going to freeze in fear for 8 fucking hours.
No, yeah. So and you hear the doctor saying that here. He doesn't believe that either.
Right. Then you're going to leave. That guy's going to leave. You're going to be frozen for a little bit. You're going to be freaking the fuck out. She probably texted. I would text somebody and not call if I thought somebody was still in my house. And my next reaction would be to jump out the fucking window.
Okay.
Her window was on the ground floor. It was the one with the missing screen, actually. That would have been my first instinct. Okay, I don't know what the fuck just happened. This scared the shit out of me.
I'm gonna tell you what I'm telling myself too. I would have either shut my door or I would have ran to that glass door and tried to lock that damn glass door. Because if I see that's the way he went out, I'm assuming that's the way he came in. So then that goes to the question, can you even lock the damn glass door? Imagine if all this time they've been living in there and they couldn't lock the glass door. That will be fucked up. You've been living in a house with an open way in, an open entry. And I've heard people live in places and say, well, the lock's messed up and you can't shut this. And you're sitting here looking at them like, and you're going to sleep in here every day and night and leaving your valuables in here and you can't lock your own fucking door. I've been around people this stupid. Know their doors won't lock and go to work. Listen, go to work and school knowing the fucking door doesn't lock. I'm just like, man, you all got to be dizzy as hell.
Oh, no, mine doesn't lock either. But I have a giant bar that goes in the other side. So it comes down and it sits in the thing and it locks the door completely. But even if your sliding door locks, because of the way it sits on the thing, you can jiggle it and just open it. So it's better to just always have something on the other side that's going to lock it down. So I have a metal bar that you can lift up.
Well, let me ask you this. obviously he came in through the glass, left through the glass. Do you believe that the glass door can even lock?
The one thing that bothers me is when we first saw the photos of the crime scene, you saw those two bar stools.
Yeah.
Remember how they were crossed over each other? And it was like one of the first pictures we saw. And I kept thinking to myself, was like that the way they locked their door? Like was something, because on my lock, I have a nice.
Yeah, but a bar stool laying, listen, the bar stool laying on the floor is not going to keep a perpetrator from coming in.
Right. But let's say if you had them crossed like that, it would keep you from opening the door. I never understood why those bar stools.
But there's no way, but that doesn't make any sense. The bar stools have to be somewhere in the track. In the track, everybody knows the stick, the stick has to be long enough for the door not to be able to give.
Oh, believe me, I know. That's how mine's set up.
So that's why I'm saying something is not right. Even if the bar stool's down, that's still not going to prevent me from coming in.
I believe they probably locked.
Wait, say what, Brittany? Slow down. Say what?
Sorry.
I can't hear you, Brittany.
I said, I believe all the doors probably locked. It was just negligence on, locking it back.
So you came in for the night and didn't lock your glass door. That what you're telling me?
I mean, I would assume so. Because, you've got Xana's dad there the week before. We don't know what lock he was fixing. However, if he's fixing one, why not fix another?
Chantel says she believes the glass door stayed unlocked.
And, they probably
I'm not getting ready to go pay money for rent, $600-700 a piece in rent to leave a fucking door open. But I'm not them. That's the point. I ain't them.
But they are young kids who are probably drunk.
You're not drunk. Listen, you're not drunk every day not to lock a door.
No, I get that, but I think they were all somewhat intoxicated that night.
Well, guess what? Sure. If you're going to use that excuse that they were drunk that night and left the door unlocked, then that means they are drunk all the time and left the door unlocked. Because what you did on one Saturday would be no different than what you did last Saturday. That's my opinion.
Right. No, I get you on that one. I'm just so whenever we get to this point in a case, I always try to go back and think about the things that were first said. The number one thing that stood out to me, the first time that Kaylee's sister did an interview, she talked about having a ring cam from the neighbors, right? And she said that they were aware, they caught on the cam when they came home.
The time home. Yeah, I remember that. That's why I said somebody has a camera, and I always knew it was the people right next door.
Now we find out that it was the people right next door.
Yeah, 50 feet.
Crazy 50 reason, feet. They never spoke, and that's
50
crazy,
feet. Listen, 50 feet is that front door facing the driveway.
Oh, absolutely.
That's your 50 feet right there.
So Kaylee's family has probably had all of that cam footage since the beginning, because clearly it was Kaylee that got it. But the one thing that always stuck out to me is she said, we knew they came home at this time, and then Kaylee went to go let the dog out. When she was outside with the dog, then she went back in the house. And my first thought from the very beginning was that asshole was sitting outside. She heard something and it scared the shit out of her. She went into the house, and that's why she started calling Jack, because Jack only lived, a stone's throw away. And she's probably like, that's the closest dude I've got that I can call. She's probably freaking out. Imagine being out in your backyard, you're letting your dog out, or hear or see something that freaks you the fuck out.
Yeah.
What's the first thing you're going to do? You're not going to call
I thought the same thing.
You want to just call somebody that can come out there.
Okay. But guess what? He didn't come. Nobody came.
No, he did not. And I think that's why
if that's how that went.
Kaylee's dad.
I thought you just maybe drunk dialing. Just doing what young people do. You're calling somebody you've been with and you're drunk, you want to talk. I didn't read no big deal in that.
It could have been about Maddie, whatever she said to Adam, that we heard on the thing. Like maybe Maddie got drunk and she said something to Adam. Adam's Jack's roommate, and Kaylee's fucking.
Well, we now know that whatever happened at the corner bar, whatever was said to Jack, Peter, Paul, Dick, ain't got nothing to do with how the hell they ended up dead. Thank the Lord.
No, but you know what? I want to just say something real quick. All those people who are tearing apart Jack and all these other people that are close to them, now all of a sudden don't want to fucking talk about Dylan. We can't talk about it. We can't say that. That's victim shaming. Like, you motherfuckers are making Instagram.
It's not victim shaming. Victim shaming would be me saying I think she had something to do with it. That would be victim shaming. I have every right to ask any question in a storyline that you brought forward as information and allegedly factual. That is common sense.
And I'm not surprised it wasn't redacted.
You cannot bring information forward in an affidavit or testimony and then tell the people listening, now you just forget about that part right there and let's go jump over here on 15th Street. That don't work like that.
It's fucking insane that you can't. People are, I don't know. Like I said, if it wasn't the same people who literally were like destroying these Jack's lives, Jake's life, what's
oh yeah, sure. It was okay. That's a great point you're making. It was okay to throw daggers at them. You accused Jeremy. You accused the guy behind at the other apartment building. You accused Jack and the heavyset guy at the grub bus, and you went on and on. You implicated Xana's mother. You implicated Mr. Gonzalez. But now the motherfucker that actually stay in the house that should know something, can't nobody say nothing about them. That's bullshit.
Yeah, she's a woman, so we can't. No, fuck you, dude. I don't care, and I'm sorry. You can give me a million reasons. There was an 8-hour time window. She saw the guy. She looked him in the face. Here's another question: why didn't they release a sketch?
Right.
Why didn't they have Dylan go and do a fucking sketch? Nerdy had brought that up earlier, and I'm like, that's pretty fucking important. Would it not be? You had an eyewitness to the crime, and you never released a sketch. You never told us that somebody was seen in the house. I mean, I don't know who to blame this situation, but I'm going to say anybody that wants to question Dylan, I don't see why they're being made out to be.
Hey, you're supposed to work your way in an investigation. This is what was always told in investigation. We work our way from inside to out. So by logic, they worked their way from inside in the beginning. Exactly, right? Didn't they say, oh, we excluded this person. We excluded this person. That's before we knew of this new information that somebody was on the second floor and saw the damn killer.
Right. So isn't it that fucking affidavit? And my mind was blown. That was the only thing.
Everybody's mind was blown. You'd have to be on crack cocaine not to be sitting here thinking about that girl being up there.
I spent 6 fucking weeks and you're just now telling me she saw the motherfucker in the house? She opened the door 3 times. I mean, I understand the crazy shit goes on in that house.
When people kept telling me in the chat, no, Angela, she wasn't on first. You need to read the affidavit. So I went on and read it. I had it in my possession. I just didn't read all of it. I just let the news people spin the story. So I said, let me go read this damn affidavit because everybody's getting their panties in a knot. When I started reading that affidavit, I'm telling you, I was 2 minutes from finding me a heroin dealer. I thought, what the fuck is this?
No, that's exactly how I felt. I'm like, how did you guys know all of
Man.
This? You had the ability to close this far earlier, and you did not.
Oh, Lord, have mercy.
I mean, everybody's like,
crazy.
oh, my God, they're heroes now. Like, I don't feel it that way at all.
So does anyone think this is strange that you've got the 2 survivors on 2 different floors? However, they happen to wake up at the same time to discover this? Is that strange?
Well, nobody's saying they woke up at the same time. That's the social media's rumor. The person that's on behalf of them. Police never verified who and how found them first and second. That's social media's rumor, remember? Police have never verified anything about the 911 call, who saw what, who ran out the house. That's never been verified. That's somebody that went to social media speaking on their behalf. And that's where I have the problem too, is that so-called he said, she said is not in the affidavit. It doesn't even match. Because they haven't even said what happened when she got up. Did she go out? Did she go over here? Did she go to Katie's room? Did she go to Xana's room first? Did she go take a pee? Did she go outside, smoke a cigarette? They ain't told none of that.
Right. And I think another thing was right when this very first started, there's a guy, he's friends with Judy Ron. His name will come to me in just a minute. But he did like an analysis of the house, and he had been saying from the beginning that Dylan was on the second floor. And then Truth and Transparency got all the body cams.
Well, how would he know that? How would he know she was on the second floor? Nobody knew that.
Well, if you look at the body cam footage,
photos.
And
So
if you look at the body cam footage from the parties that they had came, they show that bottom floor and it looked like an extra bedroom that there was only golf clubs in there. I think is where most people were getting that.
Yeah, and like a
idea
shitty
from.
ass
yeah, but that was months. That's September. Anything could change in September to November.
Right, but it just wouldn't make sense.
Mouse could have been
that
living up in
room-
there.
That bottom room, I think whatever they call it, like room 1A or 1B, it's more like a storage room.
Okay,
It's
well, that's
not
what
an
somebody's
actual,
saying.
like, full-size room. So
Well,
the
see-
one guy said that right away, and I'm like, if it turns out that one of these bitches were on the fucking second floor,
I never
then
get
I'm not, I will never forgive them.
Let me tell you something. When I was doing the virtual tours a month or so ago, month and a half, I never gave it another thought that somebody was actually living on the second floor. It never crossed my mind. Never
it did
crossed
right away.
my mind.
My stepdaughter was in a sorority. I'm sorry, but if they lived in that house, when he showed how tiny that room was, I was like, no girl's gonna take that room if there's nobody else in there.
Well, I tell you what,
Really
I'm not going to give you $600-700 just to stay in my room all the time because they didn't have a one common area and that was on the second floor. So imagine if Susie, Dick, and Paul up there, but you wanted to sit up there and watch TV so you don't have to be stuck in your room. You don't have any privacy to sit and chill and hear yourself think because other people might be in a living room entertaining. It was a bad setup. The whole fucking house was a bad setup.
Well,
I'm not giving nobody $700-800 to sit in my room. You could go run a studio for that. Have your own privacy.
Right. Well, I can guarantee what happened there. It was originally a very small house, that first floor house. Somebody bought it as an investment. And I'm telling you this from my stepdaughter being in a college town, okay? They built onto it knowing that they could make just more money.
Oh, yeah. I mean, anybody
they did
can
a really
see that.
shitty job. And that's what they did. I mean, for a house like that looks like, I mean, not gonna lie, it looks kind of like garbage, but most college houses do. You pay 2,600 a month for that. I mean, that's actually a lot cheaper than what we had to deal with. But yeah, they weren't worried about it being nice or the college kids don't fucking care, man. They just need a place to lay their head and it looks.
And whoever in the chat talking about she's a victim, no, she's not.
She's not. She didn't die.
The victim, exactly. Did she get a stab wound? Need to go in the hospital, get a heart transplant?
Nope.
She lived. She didn't have. From what they're saying, her own words, he didn't threaten her. He didn't touch her. He didn't beat her up. He didn't pull her hair. That's not a victim.
But how did he know he could get into that house?
I don't know. I'm just saying he's brazen, man. Because just to go up there, exactly, because that's the whole point of the story. You're not going to know that you can get in until you actually go up there and try to get in there.
Well, that's another thing that I've always had a problem with. So apparently he had been there, 12 times before?
That's a lot of times. That's a lot of times to go up to a property, go just sit at a property and just sit there in your car. I refuse to believe he never got out. That defeats the purpose.
No, I don't either.
It's just like looking in the store window. You're looking at the cute dress, outfit. How many times you want to keep going by the store window and looking at the same dress in the window? You're going to go in the store.
Right, and my thought has always been, I don't know why, it just bothers me every time somebody says, Kaylee was the target, Kaylee was the target.
Yeah, that shit wears me out.
Because
the father didn't help with his commentary. The father didn't help because he kept talking as if, hell, his daughter was the only one that died. I had a problem with that. You're talking like your child is the only one that died. Other kids died too.
No, and I get that, but my thing has always been like, it's this weird thing that you think like, if you look at all of them in that group picture.
He didn't party at their house. He was 28 years old. He had no reason to be partying in their house.
Yeah,
I don't believe that.
He would not have ever been there for any other reason.
He's never been there. He's never been in that house. The
only
way he's been in that house, he snuck in and nobody paid attention, or somebody in that house knew of him and let him in.
My thing is
hanging with those kids. I doubt that.
If you look at his previous history, right? He probably, I swear, the targets. Now, if you look at these, accounts that they think are him, and I've always thought that from the beginning, it was Xana and Maddie that were the targets. So let's say he went there 12 times.
Wait, slow down. Why would those two be the targets? You're confusing me.
Because Xana and Maddie worked at the Mad Greek, which, if you search it, is the best vegetarian restaurant in a 15-mile radius.
Well, wonder why those people haven't come forward to say, yes, we've seen this person in here, or no.
I think it's
We
like the
haven't
guys at
seen
the
them in
corner
here.
bar. They will not talk to the media.
Unless they
or the
had a website. Well, on the website, do you see any pictures of the kids in there?
The
No,
corner
but
bar
not-
did make a Twitter and say he, to their knowledge, was never in there, but I don't know about the Mad Greek.
Yeah. But
Right,
you
so
can't,
could
you can't,
never
you
know
can't.
that.
When your stores are busy, you're not going to remember somebody like him that's going to be kind of off to themselves. He could have just came in, looked at the menu, walked out. I mean, you don't know.
Right, and he could have seemed like just a normal. I mean, I worked in the service industry for years. He could have
Well,
just
Ellie,
been a
that's a good
fucking
point.
weirdo.
Hey,
that showed
everybody,
up.
slow down. Background noise. Y'all got too much noise going on in the background.
Sorry, I'm trying to cook. Sorry.
Let me address Ellie's comment. Very good point. I told myself if he was standing at the back of the property watching, and let's just say the girls on the second and third floor use the back entrance instead of the front, then yes, if I'm watching you from the back, then I would know you just walked up to the glass door and opened it. I'm wondering if they use that entry as that door as an entry and an exit. So that's something else that needs to be addressed.
And the same thing with the front. If he's stalking, not
Listen,
seeing them.
did the people on the third and second floor use the glass door as an exit and an entry? Hello, Angry Mimi.
Honestly, that would make more sense because that would be more respectful to the first floor roommate. That way, you're taking out one less staircase that you have to go up.
Hey, Queen. Hey, y'all.
Hello.
Yeah, let me mute some. Y'all got just too much noise going on. Hold on. Go ahead, Mimi.
I just wanted to say, Queen, that I was kidnapped as a teen and held for many hours. And I did not know if I was going to get out alive.
How old were you?
I was 16. And I want you to know, I had to do some fast talking for many hours over and over and over again. And the way
who was your kidnapper, dear?
he was a guy I met at a party.
Okay. And how did he kidnap you?
He told me, hey, I'll take you home.
Okay.
We can, hang out or whatever at your place or whatever. And I was like, okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
Well, he can take me home.
Yeah.
He took me to his place.
Okay.
Which I wasn't really sure, believe it or not, where I was in the city.
Okay.
But I bet you it was 6 hours at least.
Well, how did you get out of the situation?
He decided he needed to go to the bathroom.
Okay.
And I grabbed his keys and unlocked the door from inside and ran.
Okay.
And I want you to know that that's why I agree with you on I don't care what they say.
Flight freeze, whatever y'all want to word it.
Yeah. I'm like, no, you know what? I want to live.
Exactly. And that's what I told myself in that situation I was in. I'm coming out of this room.
Yes.
I meant that. I told God when I laid up in there, sitting, trying to figure a way to get out. I'm coming out of this room. So that situation that I was in, to me, it was not the same situation that Dylan was in. And that's just the way it is, if I'm to believe her version.
I feel bad for her because she's
and I'm saying this was a great situation for her to be in, losing her friends and being in the house with a killer. Of course not. Of course not.
But I got to tell you, I cannot believe that the first thing that you don't think when you realize that you're in danger or something is not right, that you don't want to live, you don't want to see what you can do to get out of the situation you're in.
Yeah. Bring your background down, Seagull. Where you coming from?
Seagull. Oh, hey. Is this Queen?
You got to turn your background down, sweetheart. I can't run the live with the background.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Where you calling me from?
Kentucky.
Seagull?
Kentucky.
Okay.
Oh. I don't have any background on.
Okay. I'm asking you to go ahead and speak.
Oh, okay. All right. I think, you're the queen of ignorance, saying that girl is not a victim.
Yeah, I know, bitch, because this is my show. I say what the fuck I want to say. Your mama ignorant. How about that? Until you've been in somebody's situation and a knife held to your fucking throat, you gonna come for the queen, bitch.
I agree. You're right, Queen.
Explanation.
I mean, seriously, give me a break. And when I had daughters, I taught them to question their surroundings, be aware.
Maybe we should get somebody. Listen, maybe we should get somebody to kidnap that bitch and see how she gets herself out of the situation.
Well, I'm sure it's magic.
I don't owe nobody an explanation for how I think about anything. Now go see God that. Exactly. You don't like the content, then get the fuck out the chat. But you don't come up on here and tell me about what the fuck I went through. I speak from experience. I always tell the chat that.
Yeah.
If I have an opinion about something, there's a reason.
Yep. I didn't get to be 67 for one reason or another.
I didn't get to be 51.5 because I was a dodo bird.
Well, I'm going to let y'all go. I'm going to listen. I got to fix dinner.
Here comes somebody that probably ain't never been through shit. Want to come in the chat, come up on the panel, try to tell somebody what the fuck what life they done lived and what they done been through, as if they ain't never have ever been in a dire situation. So that's why I can speak from experience. I didn't know if that person was going to kill me or not. So you shut the fuck up. Dizzy bitch. Go ahead and finish angry, but this bitch done pissed me the fuck off.
That's okay. It pisses me off.
Stupid
I just want
wench.
to tell you that as somebody who has been in a situation where you didn't know if you were going to make it back to see your
You damn
family or
right.
anybody.
And then somebody can say about the perpetrator, oh, he was just joking. He was just playing. He really wasn't going to harm you. Well, why is this person dragging me with a knife in her hand? So don't fucking come for me telling me how the fuck I should think. I have been in at least 2 or 3 serious situations similar to that. I will think how the fuck I want to think.
I think that you are right.
I don't owe nobody no fucking explanation. Some dizzy fucking internet troll. Go ahead
I'm going to let y'all go. Got to fix dinner, but I support you and I appreciate you, and I hope you have a good evening. I'll be listening.
All right. Go ahead, Brittany.
I'll say this. I've not been in that situation. But
you don't want to be. You don't want to be. Why do you think I say and talk the way I talk? Because I have lived. That's why I'm hard fucking core. I have to own my part in the decisions I've made. Do you understand what I'm saying? You think I haven't been in a dire situation recently? From poor decisions, trusting people? So I speak from experience. So I don't need nobody coming up in this chat or this panel trying to tell me about the path I've walked.
And I agree. Like I said, I haven't been in the situation.
That girl lived. That girl lived. That's a difference. That's a fucking difference.
And if my child was in that home, I would not be able to help but think, what if my child could have lived? I mean,
But he didn't hurt her. That's the point.
no, I don't mean her. I mean, the fact that if she would have called 911, that's not something that I think that I would ever be able to let go of. I know that they say their wounds were too brutal to be
No,
able
we
to
don't know that. We don't know
but you
that
don't
because
know
the
that.
person that spoke on their behalf wasn't even a medical examiner. So how
Right.
do we know that perhaps the first few wounds, I'm listening to somebody shuffle and scuffle. I could have been calling their phone saying, hey, what's going on up there? The dog keeps barking or something. They don't, answer. I give up.
Right. And, I mean, that's something you don't know. And she wouldn't have known that they couldn't have been saved not to call. That's just something I know as a parent that I would always have in the back of my mind. Could my child have been saved if you just would have called 911? I mean, it maybe not even all, just one of those children be saved. It's hard to make sense of it. And, we don't know all of it. We don't, but I still have a hard time. It's just like Kaylee's dad said, I do have questions and I want to know what she did after she closed that door.
Oh, somebody says she's a victim. They're all victims. That's what that Disney bitch that was just up here saying. They're all victims. Okay. Well, I tell you what. Since you motherfuckers know so much, maybe we should let Kohberger out of jail. See how that works. Maybe we should let Kohberger out of jail and see if he'd like to take those two girls on a date. I'll wait. The two survivors. Ask them would they like to go on a dinner date with Kohberger. What do you think about that, Britt?
I'm not down with no vegan dinner dates. Or
let them out. Let them out. Give them a bond, and let the two remaining survivors go on a dinner date with Mr. Kohberger and see how that turned out.
Yeah. No. And as far as the lady saying, using the word ignorant, I would think that someone ignorant wouldn't be questioning this. I mean, I think it's normal to question.
Well, obviously she's ignorant because she obviously didn't listen to my commentary where I speak from being in a dire situation. So that means she's the dumb motherfucker. Because I wouldn't go up in somebody's chat or on their panel after hearing a person saying that they were kidnapped in their own house and held at knife point, considering these kids were knifed to death.
Yes, unfortunately,
that shows you how stupid she is.
Right, because it would be interesting. I do feel like if someone wanted to come up that does have the opposite opinion, that didn't have to act that way, to have an adult conversation.
You can give me your opinion.
Right.
But you don't tell me I'm ignorant when I'm sitting here speaking from experience of being in a dire situation with a person holding a knife to my throat. You're ignorant.
Yeah. No. I think it's only normal for people to have questions. And like I said, I'm not blaming her for being a part of it.
Just another fucking buffoon.
Right, because it's sad, if you truly felt that strongly that you needed to join the panel. It's unfortunate.
That's okay, because guess what? She's going to get to see what it's like one day. And you know what the first thing she's going to think about? Oh, I was remembering today I went up on that black lady's panel talking shit. You'll think back to that. Well, let's pray that one day she doesn't walk out to the Piggly Wiggly or Walmart and a motherfucker decides to come up to her with a knife or a gun and carjack her. Yeah. You can sit there and try to reason with your perpetrator. And let's see how ignorant you turn out.
Oh, Lord.
Let's see if you can be crafty like the queen and talk your way out of getting out of there. How about that?
No, I couldn't imagine. I'm being honest. I could not imagine being. I've often questioned myself. If something happened, how would I? I don't know. But of course, I've heard things that you should say and think. But I don't know.
I'll tell you one thing you don't do. You don't ever say anything to rock the boat. How about that?
Right.
Sad.
Was
Real
this person
sad.
in chat before this? I'm going back to see if I had the name.
Real sad. A sad cunt. A sad and lonely cunt. Yeah, I said it. You're a sad and lonely cunt. People speak their opinion because of maybe how they've lived and the roads that they traveled. And how you think, I don't think. And I don't have to think like anybody in the chat or anywhere else.
True. And she could have came and gave her opinion without being so rude.
And you think the people that tried me and did those things, you think they didn't never have regret after they did it? But that's between them and God. You live and you learn. They'll probably release the 911 call later, sweetheart.
Probably, yeah. I'm thinking it'd be after the trial. And, that's just the thing. The questions that we're asking, this is nothing compared to what that public defender is going to do.
Exactly.
She's going to have to answer to a lot of things. I'm not saying that she's guilty of knowing him or, whatever. But, there are some strange things that took place. But this is nothing compared to what she's going to have to answer on the stand. And if she's being as honest as she can be, they will flip it every way they can.
Let me tell you what she's going to say. Well, why didn't he hurt you? How about that? Oh, wait a minute. He left another one alive on the bottom floor. Listen, he's not that terrible of a monster. Even though he did just hack up 4 people. You see where I'm going?
Right.
But she's got to give this jury reasonable doubt. She's got to come up with something to get him off. And you better believe while he's sitting in that mouse cow jail, he's coming up with a multitude of ways to try to get himself out the situation.
Somebody in the chat said, I've been here since the West case. This isn't your first rodeo with the trolls.
Thank you, Jen. Yeah. I always get the trolls. And those are the main ones that end up becoming YouTube videos them damn selves. I was just talking to Chris Thorns about that today. I said the people that come in the chat, they're 2 minutes from being a YouTube video and a news story. All you have to do is look at their commentary. Look at their comments. They're just as crazy as the people in the fucking news. Fucking whack jobs. That dizzy bitch that just came up here, she's probably got drama as long as her foot to her arm. Probably calling somewhere from a fucking $2 motel on the run.
Yeah, because it's just simple as don't watch if you don't like what's being said.
Yeah. Okay. Somebody in the chat, somebody tried to break in her house. Yeah. You didn't go back to sleep.
Right. And, I'm not saying that the girl knew these people were being murdered in the home, but there was enough things that you're stating that took place that would leave some question that you may need to call for help yourself.
Well, that's just like right now I'm sitting in this house and somebody walks in here right now while I'm on this live stream. You think I'm just going to keep turning back talking to this computer?
No. Nope.
We getting ready to tear this motherfucker up. How about that? Because I got 2 ways out of here.
And that was a really good point someone made earlier in the chat about the, stalking them and watching whether they used a key. Because it's very interesting that he knew. I mean,
Jay, you hear me smacking? I had to get something. My nerves was already bad. And then here come this dizzy wank coming up here, breaking up the monotony of the live stream, that damn crazy ass talk. Sorry about the smacking, you guys. I didn't think you could hear me, but I guess you could. Sorry about that.
No smacking, just crunching.
I had a quick munchies. Yeah, but you know what? He probably did, or he probably didn't. It could have been just he was bold. But see, that's another thing I was questioning too. Did he bring break-in tools?
Right, we don't know.
And then that's even more crazy. Let's say he didn't watch to know that you could go through the glass door. They didn't lock it. You were just going to stand out there and you find a way to get in. This shit is crazy to me.
Daily Mail has pics of Dylan running with her.
No, stop it. Stop.
You mean out for like a daily jog or recently or something that happened?
I ain't touching that. Thank you, Jay. Poke her own eyes out. You fuck with your eyes will get poked out.
Yeah, and I've heard people say that, maybe she left her phone in another room. I find that hard to believe because definitely if you open the door 3 times, the first 2 times you haven't seen anybody, you obviously don't think it's...
Pull that up. Go pull up what Bruno's talking about. What is Bruno talking about?
Hold on a second. My phone's ringing. Hold on. I don't think you're disconnected.
Like running for the jog now. 2 hours into this live stream, I brought you proof that Bryan Kohberger is guilty. At the beginning of this live stream, I played Dr. Todd's assessment of his behavior and actions before, during, and after his the killing of the kids. Oh, yes, Beverly. Excuse Beverly. Excuse my manners during this live stream. That just really pissed me off. Because just like a person can come in here and tell you that you shouldn't be saying what you're saying about the survivors. Well, you don't know me and you don't know what I've been through and you don't know what I've survived. So I can give my opinion about anything I want to give my opinion about. That's the whole point. Everybody's journey in life is not the same. That's how people come to form their opinions. It's because of their journeys. Hit the link. You want to give your opinion pertaining to this information. The survivors that were left behind, is that indicative of who the targets were? Because many people have difference of opinions about why the 2 were left behind. If he knew that the 2 were in the house, if he watched the house, then he knows who lives there. You can Google the house on the internet through apartment.com, Zillow, so on and so forth. So he would have learned the layout and he would use deduction on who stayed in which room, no matter who the target was. There are cars parked outside. Cars are going to be coming and going. He's been there 12 times. You want me to believe he didn't watch who came and went in the house, whose car was who. Who's to say he didn't run the tags? Stay woke. He's meticulous, articulate in his speaking, I'm sure. He's very analytical. So you think he didn't run the tags? You all aren't woke. Of course he did. You got time to sit outside somebody's house for a whole hour. You're running tag numbers and all type of things. You're trying to decide who's in which room. We got rooms with no curtains, no blinds on the second floor. By the time he made it to that house November 13th, he had a general idea of where all the girls stayed, which car belonged to which girl, which entry would be the appropriate entry to go in. 9 times out of 10, he's parked his car up the hill in the back and sat and watched the apartment, got out of the car and watched. I refuse to believe he went to this house 12 times and never got out of his car. Cindy, what are you talking about? You pity who? Whose neighbor and husband? What are you speaking of? Who are you talking about? Your neighbor's husband? Who are you speaking of? I don't understand what you're saying. Hit the link. You want to give your opinion pertaining to why the 2 targets were left. The proof that he's guilty, Kohberger, I said Kohberger. And is this a sign of who the intended targets were? The 3 girls and the guy. Because there's a flip of the coin and how you want to weigh it. Some people think Xana and Ethan got in the way. The 2 other girls were the targets. Well, you've got to then lay out how he came to know that they were around the corner in the other room. Because you can't see the room when you're coming into the kitchen from the back slider. Xana's room is nowhere in sight. The only room in sight is the door in front, feet away, which is DM's room. Stay woke. And when he decided to go to Xana's room, he had to see the low-bearing wall, which would show there's stairs leading down and rooms downstairs. Did he go down there first before going to Xana's room to see if he could open up any doors down there? The fact that Xana's father came to assist with some type of lock issue the weekend before. Has somebody been trying to open the kids' room doors at night? This is very disturbing information because that's something we have not really just sat and dissected. The fact that her father came the weekend before to fix a lock. So did he fix a lock or fix the door, fix the door handle? What was the issue with the door? Has somebody tried to get into the house before? Been in the house, but couldn't get in the girls' rooms because their doors were closed? Has Kohberger been in that house during the daytime? We know that the kids had to go to school. They also had to work. And I would assume there's somebody at that house at any given time between the day and the night. So what you have to ask yourself, has he been in that house? Because he was going to this house during the daytime when his ass should have been at school working. It's very puzzling to me. A PhD student working assistant to a professor, and they've got time to run over here 15 minutes up the highway and hang out at 1122 King Road. So I'm wondering if he's been there. 1 or 2 were in the house, and he's in there walking around trying to open up doors, which is very risque for daytime. Because I'm assuming that's why he picked this time of morning. It's because it's dark and it's late and there's not a lot of traffic outside or coming and going from the house. And how did he find the girls? Thank you for joining me. If you'd like to donate to this great network, $ began to 129 Cash App. All super chats and stickers are welcome during this live stream. You are now listening to The Vault. Thank you for following the content. Excuse my manners earlier during this live stream. Potty mouth, but I had to clear my throat. Yeah, that is strange. They waited till he went all the way to the East Coast. It's very strange because they could have gotten his DNA while he was in Washington State. Very strange. Very, very strange. But how would you know that the other ones were the target? That's the part I don't understand. Okay. All right. Pray for Brittany. She had to step down. Father-in-law just had a car accident. She had to go pick up her son. So we're going to pray that that's not a really bad car accident. The father was just, the father-in-law was just in. Well, you know, people going to do that. They don't like your commentary. They think you should think a certain way. They unsubscribe. They want to leave crazy messages in the chat and on the channel in the comment section. I don't care. I think the way I want to think. It's obviously served me right to be as old as I am. But you can't tell me how to think about information that's in a public affidavit. I can question anything I want in that affidavit because it doesn't make sense that a person felt fearful at that time. If I'm to believe that that's what she felt, and she shut her door and waited 7 hours to call 911 when she got up and found the dead people. So it is what it is. Only a fool wouldn't question the affidavit because nobody knew that one of the girls was on the second floor. That's first and foremost. No information has been corroborated about the 911 call, who called, what was going on at the time of the call. That was from social media. Somebody defending the girls. So you don't even know what's the truth at this point. You just know they have an arrest. A guy is linked to DNA on the sheet that was left next to Maddie Mogan's body. He's been there 12 times. He's been in the area. He's seen on CCTV footage. Excuse me. That's what they have. You either believe it or you don't. Thank you, Kim. Well, you're supposed to ask questions. What fool at this juncture wouldn't ask questions about the affidavit? You'd have to be stupid not to ask, whether you believe the information or not. We do know that allegedly the phone call that went into the dispatch belonged to one of the roommates. That was verified a while ago. And also, I believe that's in the affidavit as well. So, as I said, you're entitled to believe whatever you want to believe. Ignorance is bliss, obviously. There are people that don't have anything better to do. That's probably what that witch does every day. She sits up in people's chats and goes on Facebook commenting all damn day. Don't have nothing better to do with her time. Just a nut. $2 nut. Do you think she just waited hoping that someone else would come by and be the first to see it? How is somebody going to come by and see it if the doors are locked, Daniel? That means somebody else will be walking in the house without knocking on the door. That's just as worse. Social media Karen. Yeah, that's all. A messy witch. Somebody that sits up on social media, like you said, all day long, commenting in chats and Facebook groups and channels and articles. She probably ain't even had a bath today. Too busy trying to stay on social media. I don't know why anybody sits up on, you could be on social media all day long. That's not healthy. Because I can tell you now, if I wasn't a YouTuber and bringing content, I wouldn't be in nobody's chat. I wouldn't be commenting on stuff. I would care less. I would care less. As I said, when I first became affiliated with YouTube was after my mother passed away. I was just looking at decorating videos on YouTube. I didn't know anything about true crime channels and people making videos about it. I didn't know nothing about it until I actually started uploading videos in 2019. I don't know anything about it. And it's been hell on wheels ever since. Well, hit the link and tell the queen why you think there's something off with her behavior. Do they have the right suspect in custody? All the mistakes he made along the way. I outlined all of this in the beginning of this live stream after I played Dr. Todd's assessment of his behavior, if he's guilty or not. I do believe that BK is the appropriate suspect. I believe he is guilty. I'm praying that we will not have an empath on the jury, because that's all it takes is one person to empathize with Kohberger because of his past, that he doesn't appear to be the guy to do such a thing. But appearance and DNA have nothing to do with one another. You don't have to look the part of a killer. What does a killer look like exactly? Your DNA is there. Your pings are there of you being in the vicinity at the house. We don't know what other DNA was left behind. We don't know if he took DNA from the crime scene back to his apartment. Naturally, he took DNA in his car. 9 times out of 10, they sprayed the car with luminol. It's going to show where he's wiped the car down, smears. They'll possibly they have swabbed the smears and picked up DNA from the victims out of his car and also his apartment. You don't know what's on his devices, the apps he used, who he was contacting, messaging, stalking, writing letters. So you don't know. You don't know if he took pictures of the crime scene. Bingo card. Who's to say this fool did not snap pictures after he killed the victims? Videotaped it after the bodies lay dead. Who's to say he didn't walk through with a camera phone talking to himself? Look what I've done. Look what I just did. Who's to say he didn't film himself walking up to the scene, standing outside watching? So you don't know. You think he doesn't have a trophy from this moment? He has to have a trophy. It would defeat the purpose in killing the kids and not have something to remember from the victims in the crime scene. So that's going to be very interesting if we find out he took pictures and videotaped the victims after death. And prayers for the people who went to the scene when the 911 call came in, because that has to be horrendous finding those kids in the shape that they did. What? What are you saying, Kim? Took a what? Flick with phone strapped to his chest like locker nuts. That's crazy. Charlotte, I don't know where he parked. That would be interesting too. So let's see what evidence they have as far as CCTV cameras at the apartments to the right of the property. Is he on camera parking his car up there? The police has more. Of course they have more, because you don't know all that he left behind. You don't kill that many people and not take something back to your house with you. His hands were bloodied if he didn't wear gloves. And if he cut himself, blood is still going to soak through the gloves, because you're stabbing one person after the other. Who's to say he didn't go to school with blood around his nail beds, in his cuticles? You have to think about all that kind of stuff. How did he look when he went to school? Fingers, fingernails. Did he keep some of his clothes? When you stab people, blood can get on the inside of your pants, the victim's pants, underwear, nightgown, boxers. Yes, he could have journaled it. Exactly. Very true. Very good point. And I can't see him not taking photographs, videoing the crime scene afterwards, him talking to himself, journaling that, exactly, putting it in some type of file in his computer. He's kept some type of journal, either by video or photographs of the victims after death. Because there's no way you're going to commit these type of crimes and not want to relive them. He strikes me as that type of person that would want to relive them. Yes, they have more. The altercations, Ellie, well, I think that's just the shape of his nose. Somebody said that's just how his nose looks. iPhone strapped to chest, you do not hold it. Locker nuts are people who show videos of auction storage lockers to show us what they find. He may have made a snuff film like his sister made one. Oh, okay. Well, I don't know that his sister made a snuff film. I just know they said it's probably considered a low budget horror movie. It wasn't at the picture show, let's say. She didn't. Her acting skills didn't make it to Netflix, or let's say Lifetime. 2 hours and 27 minutes in this live stream. Thank you for joining me. I thank you all for patronizing. I really appreciate your time and stopping in, listening to the content. And as I said, excuse my manners from earlier. I just got teed off. He may have it on the dark web. Very good point. Yes, he may. I have heard about the dark web. About a year or two ago, I was hearing some information about things that people put on the dark web, and that's even worse. Lord have mercy. They do snuff films and things on the dark web. He was old enough to work on the set at that time. Okay. B movies, yeah. Thank you so much, Sydney. I appreciate you for tuning in, watching the content, listening to the content. I do appreciate it. Thank you so much. Thank you all for tuning in, commenting. But please be aware of your surroundings. It doesn't matter your age, your demographic, where you live, how you live, the company you keep. You need to be very aware of the people you are around, the places you are going, inviting people to your home, what you post on social media, what you comment on social media, also what you have in your background when you're posting. You need to be very careful, because you don't know if you are possibly inviting trouble to your front door or your house or to your friends and family, because you don't know you can trust the people you talk to. Thank you, Cherie. Thank you for the donation, sweetheart. You have to be very careful the things you post and comment on these news break articles, because people will try to find you, especially if you're using your government name. And as I told most of you when I was covering Cal City, do not use your government name on social media because they can find you. You use your government name here, they'll just follow you over to IG, Twitter, Facebook, leave nasty messages in your messenger. That's all these people have to do. That's why I keep trying to tell you, a lot of the people who are commenting on YouTube, they're no different than the people that we're talking about in the story. They're just as diabolical. Whenever you decide that you got to go to Facebook and IG to find somebody because you don't like their comment in a YouTube video or comment section, that means you're sick. You're all the way sick. Because there's nothing that serious that you all have said up in this chat box that I got to go find you on Facebook. Few names may have went and looked to see if it was the same name on Facebook, but it wasn't to go message you and stalk you. But you have people with this type of mindset. This is why I keep trying to tell you, a lot of the people that's in these chat rooms and Facebook and YouTube videos commenting, they're only 2 minutes from becoming a YouTube video and a news story. They have the same fucked up mindset. Yes, I would recommend that you make all your social media private and do not put locations. Do not put where you work on your Facebook profile. Don't do that. I wouldn't even put where I went to high school. I wouldn't put any of that. I wouldn't put high school, college. I wouldn't put my current job. I just wouldn't put none of that on there because you don't know who's watching and you don't know who's following you from page to page. You just think because you commented over here at YouTube that somebody's not going to go follow you over at Facebook or IG. You use the same damn name, they will follow you. And you have people who are not mentally stable. And I've seen it. We're talking about Cal City, Camille McKinney. Those are probably the 2 worst cases I've ever talked about pertaining to children and Summer Wells. And I see the people who are not mentally strapped, such as the wench that came up here on the panel earlier. She's not strapped mentally. Because anytime you can just jump up on a live stream and call somebody ignorant or want to call them nasty names and you don't know me from a pile of beans because I'm giving commentary that you don't agree with, so what? So what? I'm going to question anything I hear. Because, see, I'm not a dodo bird. I didn't get to 51.5 by believing everything that came out of a person's mouth. I watch people. I listen. I do something that most people don't do, is that I watch and I listen. And my father taught me that. He says, you want to learn something about a person? Let them talk. And don't interrupt. Just listen to them speak. They'll tell you everything you need to know about them. And what you don't know about them will eventually come out. And I can honestly say I've learned a lot from the people that comment in the chat. I've learned a lot by watching people on Facebook, IG. I could tell you the person that's thirsty, hungry, miserable, full of shit, liar, troublemaker. Just from watching the social media pages, just from watching their comments. Because usually when people are miserable, they're going to let you know they're miserable. Oh, well, a lot of people that listen to me don't use profanity. So I don't like, cursing a lot during the live streams. I try to watch now, using profanity. But yeah, I had a moment. Okay, in my opinion, he is the stalker Kaylee was talking about. She probably saw him those 12 times he was in the area, and I think that's why she was calling Jack, because maybe she saw him outside. Yeah, but why not call the police, Tracy? That doesn't make any sense. If I see you outside my window, or I walk by the bedroom window or kitchen window, and I see a guy standing out there in the damn dark, hell yeah, I'm getting ready to call the police. I'm not going to call my boyfriend to say I see a guy standing outside, or ex-boyfriend. I'm going to call the police. I wonder if Bryan left the sheath on purpose, thinking it didn't leave a print to taunt authorities and show people how smart he is. Well, that's not smart. Because when you bought the knife in the first place, you touched it without gloves on. So he wasn't smart. Even if he wore gloves, you still, when you first purchased it, you didn't have gloves on. Because that would be too suspicious walking in a store with rubber gloves on, purchasing a knife or even a gun. That's why we don't know the vault's name, but we do. But we do know she's an amazingly insightful person with a really good sense of our world. Yes. Well, Kim, most people know my name is Angela. But that's enough. I don't need any stalkers, and I don't need anybody trying to stalk me, find me, and do all that, because I'm going to tell you, you're not going to like what you see up front. I'm a big girl, and believe me, I might be a little weaker with some autoimmune stuff going on, but I'm going to try to give you a run for your damn money. See, you always have to think that the perpetrator watches, and he or she will decide who he wants to try. Because, you got women crazy too. They will try you. And this is what happens. The same thing as bullying. It's the same thing. People will try to pick who they think they can get over on, who they can bring slick talk to, who they can dox, stalk. It's all the same. But you have to let people know that you're not going to go. Yes, they're going to feel pressed by the queen. Exactly. I've been tried recently, the past 2 years, going out, seeing people, 1 minute they're acting friendly with you, then the next minute they've got some type of issue with you, or you see something about them you don't care for. You're deciding to, back up, say, nah, these people, something about this person ain't right. And then next thing you know, they've got something snide to say every time they see you and slick talk. I've dealt with that at 50-something years old. And trust me, wouldn't stop. I mean, I can honestly say I have a female that just was a stalker. She's a stalker. She see me out. She always has something to say to me when she sees me. She never says anything when she's with her friend, her associate. But if that girl's not around her, she'll come up to me and try to talk and, oh, hi, how are you? And she knows I don't like her. She knows I don't like her. I told her I don't care for you. I didn't tell her the real reason why I don't care for her, because I don't feel like I have to tell her that. But I've let her know all this slick talk, and every time you see me, you want to come around, and then 1 minute you're turning up your nose and whispering, and I let her know I'm not what you want. Be the same all the time. When you're with your girlfriend, why don't you say something to me then? She won't do it. Now, when I went out, I went out Thanksgiving and New Year's. I went to 2 places New Year's Eve. That early morning, I went to that little juke joint that I usually go to. I went there last. She was in there with her little girlfriend buddy. She didn't say nothing, and I was thinking, great, new year, new start. Please don't say anything. I'm not interested. I don't like you. I don't care for you, and that's it. And I don't want you talking to me. Don't whisper nothing to me. Don't come by talking about the dress or this and that. Just keep it copacetic. Keep it moving. And I don't really go out like I used to. So that gives my face a break. You understand what I'm saying? Because sometimes you have to switch it up. You have to stop doing what you were doing to draw the attention, the negativity. So that's what's been going on the past couple of months. I've been kind of low key and I've been staying in. So therefore, I gave the little stalker a break. She can't see me. She can't find me on social media. She can't touch nothing because she's irrelevant to me. And I let her know that. And same thing with these other jokers that be out skinning and grinning, always got something to say. And once they see that you're not interested, you're not trying to feed into their BS, they can't do anything but fold. And that's just how I look at it. They can't do anything but fold. When they realize, I can't get under her skin, she won't bite back. They have to fold. And that's in the scripture, if you believe in the Bible. They have to lay at your feet at some point. And that's what they'll do. Are you still doing documentaries? The one about Beth Thomas is interesting, about a little girl killer. She's very young, not even grade school yet. I don't know about her. Yes, people are crazy. That's what I'm saying. I have to be careful too about telling people what I do up here. I mean, I recently told somebody what I do, and I don't think I should have told that person. I believe I made a mistake. We will see how it transforms or not. But I've decided to ban all contact and conversation, just because my instincts was telling me that I just saw something I didn't care for. To other people, it may appear petty, but I always watch people and their demeanor. And when you start coming around with slick talk and start playing mind games, that's when I'm leery of you. So my better half is saying, don't talk to the person anymore. Don't conversate. Don't tell them anything personal. Don't ask them for anything. Just leave them alone. And that's what I've done. Because you don't know people. And this YouTube thing is not all that. It's a avenue for people to see you and listen to what you're saying, like, don't like. But it's not like I'm working for News Nation or ABC News, CBS News. But it's still a way that people can try to hurt you, put you on blast, because a lot of people really come to YouTube for that reason. They're looking for a reason to find people to try to hurt. That's why I keep trying to tell you all that a lot of the people that watch YouTube and a lot of people that comment, they're no different than the people that we're talking about in the storylines. These people who are diabolical and sick, like Kohberger, the people that kill their kids and then get on the news and cry and moan and say that they're missing. A lot of the people that come in the chat, they are the same people. I can watch the comments and it tells me a lot about a person's disposition, how they were raised, how they were treated as a child, how they were treated as an adult. And you can see a lot of that in the comments. You can see the people that are wounded just by their comments, and they don't even realize that they're telling on themselves by the way they word things, the stories they spin in the chat. I see a lot. That's why a lot of times I can be up here playing the content. I don't respond because I'm reading the comments. And you really don't know people. And I can just tell you, after dealing with people I've met in general, how people turn on you quickly, doing these stories of people hurting their own kids, hurting their spouses. I don't trust anybody. I don't trust anybody. And it's not to be rude to anybody in the chat or anybody wanting to talk or conversate, but I've learned about you really can't even get involved with the people in the chat, because a lot of people who, as I said, that watch YouTube are very unstable individuals. And I'm speaking from experience. So that's why I give my opinion, because one, I'm grown. Two, things I've experienced and dealt with on a personal level. I don't really speak from assuming stuff. I speak from things that I've actually experienced. And I can tell you, most of the people, and it's sad to say, but a lot of the people who are on Facebook, IG, YouTube, they're not mentally stable. Because this is really all they have. And they actually have allegedly friends, children, boyfriends, girlfriends, husbands, wives, but they'll talk about YouTube and Facebook as if it's the Holy Grail. And to me, there's something wrong when that's your only conversation. I mean, I have to catch myself not to be talking about these YouTube stories all the time, because they're depressing. To be talking about murder every day. And I'm sure some of the people are looking at me like, oh my gosh, she's talking about that case again. So I have to catch myself and not be dwelling, on the negativity of true crime. And as I told people, this is not a true crime channel. This is not. I talk about all types of things. And frankly, there's one subject I want to talk about. I've been meaning is to talk about you all and your children and your relationships with your children, and how far would you go in taking care and aiding your children? That's a subject I've been meaning to bring forward since October. Thank you, Dixie. I appreciate it. Thank you, sweetie. Well, that's my point, Terry. Is that a person can't come to you and tell you what you should think about the people in the story. Because in the end, whether some of you dizzy ass people want to accept it or not, you did not know Maddie, Kaylee, Ethan, and Xana. You don't know their friends. You don't know their family members. You don't know the neighbors. You don't know the two survivors. You don't even know Kohberger. That's the point. I don't put my trust in man. That's in the scripture. He says it. You put your faith in man, you will surely be disappointed. So why in the hell would I trust people in a true crime story? Think about that for just a second. I don't give a damn that they look pretty. Their hair is long and blonde and blue eyes. Oh, they're going to college. That shit don't mean nothing to me, because just as quick as I could sit up here and put somebody on a pedestal, I'll later find out they have something to do with the fucking crime. It happens all the time. And you find that shit out later, that everybody was putting people up on pedestals and they're the main ones who had information that they did not divulge. They schemed, they scammed. I don't trust anybody, and I don't have to. And my opinion is this: 4 kids are dead. 4 kids are dead, and 9 times out of 10, it was over nothing. No matter the motive, it was nothing. And I don't know who knew what, did what, watched what, saw what. I don't know, because I wasn't there. But I know people are crazy, and people are envy-hearted, and people will envy you for the stupidest stuff. And I won't doubt that this Kohberger was envious of those kids. They're beautiful kids. You can see Xana, she was the jokester. She liked to crack jokes. Maddie was a jokester. They painted their faces. They looked nice. Ethan was a tall guy, handsome. You heard people talk really nice about him. So you imagine somebody who doesn't have any self-confidence, and they're watching these kids in their photographs. They're watching them in their live streams, and they become envy-hearted. I looked at Kaylee's pictures the other morning. I was up late. She was a beautiful girl. She had a lot of friends. You wouldn't believe the people that would hate you just for that. But you have a lot of friends. You're talking to a lot of people. You're mingling with a lot of people. You're traveling. You see her on boats. You see she took a trip to Hawaii. That's enough for somebody to hate you. Okay? They don't have to know that you have bad days, you're insecure, you got cellulite, or you don't like your nose or your ears. They don't know that. They just looking at the pictures. Because if you look at Kaylee's pictures, a lot of her pictures, she has makeup on. Quite a bit of makeup. Eyelashes. Her and Maddie both. Fingernails done and this and that. Okay, so take somebody that's insecure, who ain't wearing makeup, ain't getting their nails done, don't got nice clothes, don't have their hair coiffed. That's enough for somebody to hate you, just from the eyelashes and the makeup. Oh, she's got nice features. She's got little round face, doll face. Because Kaylee has a doll face. She's a baby doll face. That's enough for somebody not to like you. Somebody may not have liked that ex-boyfriend because he dated her. Didn't like him either. Now she's got this good friend she grew up with. She's pretty. You'd be surprised at the way people talk about people that they don't even know. Oh, look at them. They think they're hot shit. Look at them. They think they're pretty. They're always wearing nice clothes and fashionable this and that. You'll be surprised at stuff that people would hate you over. Simple stuff. Exactly. But that's the point, Jeanette. Who wants to see you depressed every day? Who wants to hear you talk about you're depressed or you're suicidal or you had a bad exam or you had a fight with your sister or your dad? Nobody wants to hear that. People don't want to hear negative stuff. So when they look at you in the pictures, you're smiling, you're posing. That looks like a great time. Yeah. Well, anybody can put up a fake profile, steal your identity. You can put up pictures making it seem like you're happy every day. Thanks a lot. Thank you, California. Say, what? Got an old barn. She's rich. I'm poor. She gets jealous of stupid stuff if she doesn't have it. Yes, exactly. Following celebrities. I follow people on IG, and I rarely go on their pages and watch anything they're talking about. I don't want to indulge my time like that. Coveting. It's a good word. But you have people like that. She may appear to have a good life, but she's jealous over stuff that somebody got, something simple as a $20 coffee maker from Target. You have people like that. They get upset over the stupidest stuff, such as worldly goods. We just live in a world where people get attached to stuff. I can tell you now, I'm OCD and I have like high anxieties, and I don't really tell people that. But I can go buy something and I could swear I love it that day. 2 months from now, I could just literally set it on fire. I don't want it. I don't want it. And I've been doing that now, running around this place trying to redo stuff, because I keep telling myself, man, you bought all this stuff, trying to decorate, and now you're looking at the stuff you don't even want the damn stuff. So I've been taking down stuff, redoing stuff, because you know that old adage, if you buy something new, you need to at least take maybe 2 or 3 items out. So that's what I've been trying to do. Because I don't get attached to stuff. I don't want to get attached to stuff. I've got the best of the best, in my opinion. Something new, something borrowed, something blue. But I don't get attached to it. I can tell you right now, because a lot of people think I'm crazy as hell. I could go in that kitchen right now and throw everything in the dumpster and wouldn't give 2 fucks about it. Because I don't care. I don't care about a stupid Tupperware bowl. I prefer to just go buy another one. It's jank nut but plastic. Now, I might have a fit over my damn costume jewelry because that's something I really like. You know, I love my earrings, my little bling bling. I'd rather have that than anything. And my damn TVs. I like to watch my programs. Other than that, I don't give a damn about a coffee mug, 5, 6 pots, pans. I could care less. That's what I'm trying to make you all understand. It's what you focus on. You don't want to be consumed by your goods. No, I just learned not to get attached. I got that from my father. My mother became a hoarder late in life. So I would think me not getting attached to things come from my dad. Because my dad, he didn't ever care about worldly goods. He didn't care about that stuff. You know, he had access to nice things, but he didn't get attached to stuff. So I'm that type of person that I can buy something today, and 2-3 months from now, I don't want it. And everybody knows how I am that knows me. They know, oh, you want the queen in your corner because she gives great gifts. I either give you stuff I don't want anymore, or I can go to the store and buy you something brand new. I treat people the way I want to be treated. I like nice things, so I'll buy you something nice. That's just who I am. I don't play around with the gift giving because I like nice stuff. But the thing about it is, just as quick as I can go buy something new, or get it gently used. It won't matter. I'll tire of it fast. I just don't get attached to stuff. I don't care about this stuff because in the end, I know I can't take it with me. And that's the mindset that I have now. You can't take it with you. So just enjoy it for the little while that it's here. When you tire of it, just pass it along, sell it, or give it to somebody or donate it. And I told somebody earlier, I think it was Brittany, we were talking. I said, I could live like the old guy with the recliner, tray table, one robe, one pair of shoes. Because there's just days when I get frantic looking at so much stuff and wonder, how did you get this stuff in here? And I went through my makeup stuff today. I put it in a little organizer because I had it in like a wire basket, like a wire garbage can basket that was more for a bathroom than holding makeup. And lo and behold, took everything out of the plastic, put it in this little divider I got, plastic divider, and everything fit right neat into that. Because I was going to take the little plastic divider thing and throw it in the garbage. And some said, no, don't throw that away. See if all that extra makeup can go in there neat. And it did. It all fit in there nice and neat. So I don't have any reason to go buy any new makeup until all that other stuff gets used. And that's what you have to do when you're buying stuff. You know what I'm saying? Buying a spare. Use up what you got. And then go get you something to replace it. Well, you can't take it with you. And I know this has got off subject. But the point is, you can't take it with you. Nothing wrong with enjoying it. But that's how I got off the topic talking about worldly goods and things. You'd be surprised with stuff that people will dislike you over. And that's the point I'm trying to make about these kids, is that these were nice looking children. And I won't doubt that there were probably a lot of people jealous of these kids at their own schoolhouse. Kids they went to high school with. Kids looking at them like, man, they went all the way. She's got a degree. Because let's be truthful about Kaylee. Pretty girl, took great pictures, nice photographs, bought her a new car. She had a job lined up waiting for her in Austin, Texas. She was doing exceptionally well for her age. So even if she had never gotten murdered, there still was probably some people who were not wishing her well, because that's just the way the world is. You're always going to have a hater. As we say in the street, the hater made me greater. And that's how you have to view life. You take the bull by the horns and you live your best life. And I would say that to anybody 20 years old, 50 years old, try to live your best life. Adrian. Just try to live your best life. But please be careful of your surroundings, the company you keep. Brittany, you have anything else you want to say before I check out of here? I just want you, more than anything, from the content pertaining to these kids, is to try to live your best life and treat people accordingly, and just be aware of your surroundings. Because we live in a dire time, and you just don't know what will set people off and push people over. Because as I said the other day, I said, damn, I'm praying that nobody would hurt these kids over music. Because I was thinking about a week or two ago. I said, damn, maybe it's one of the neighbors. Maybe somebody got mad because they're playing their music too loud. Because you just don't know. People have left here for various reasons. People will hurt you because of your friends, the company you keep. See, that's another thing people don't understand. Okay, that's fine. You don't know who actually didn't like those kids at the schoolhouse. You're only seeing Kohberger as the suspect. But imagine there are some people right now that hung around those kids, saw those kids at parties, functions, at school, and really didn't like them. Because you're going to always have people that really don't like you. Or hell, maybe hate your guts. And I can bet you there's some who did not like any of those kids. The point is, they didn't kill them. A random bloke from the East Coast infiltrated their peripheral and murdered them. And yes, that is scarier because nobody knew him. Nobody heard of him. Nobody knows that the kids were friends with him, hung with him, vice versa. Thank you, Dixie. Thank you so much. Yes, God has a plan. He never said it was going to be easy. And I'm going to say this to a lot of people, and some people may get offended, but it's the truth. A pastor once said on TV that you shouldn't question God about the things that go bump in the night and wrong with your life. Because we do that sometimes. Why me? Why you let this happen to me? And I'm sure these parents are thinking that. Hello, Salem. Thank you. Why you take my child? What did my child do so terrible to be bludgeoned to death? Why my husband left me, cheated on me? Why do I have these wayward children? Why do I keep attracting these wayward people? Blah, blah, blah. Whatever the situation is. The pastor said, why not you? Why not you? Who are you to be exempt from something bad happening? Well, that's so true. Who are you that you can't have a bad day, be betrayed, be hurt, be lied on, stolen from, implicated in a crime, whatsoever? Who are you? My son died on the cross, persecuted, nailed to the cross, matter of factly, not just hung up there, nailed, feet and hands. That's torture. Crown of thorns put on his head till he died. He suffered. For you, a stranger, for your sins, so that you will have eternal life. So who are you to complain about anything that went wrong in your life or goes wrong? And that's true. Now, naturally, in your worst of moments, which I would consider what is going on with these kids' parents, because this is the worst of the worst that could happen to a man or a woman being murdered. You wouldn't want to hear that because you would feel like, well, that's cruel. My child didn't do anything to this man. They don't know him. He didn't know them. He didn't have any right to kill my baby. And that's true. He didn't have any right to kill the kids. But he's a favorable God, and everything he has is a plan. A plan. And it doesn't have to be the plan that we won't accept. But it's his plan. So you think about that when you're having a bad day, something terrible happens to you. Know that God sent his son here for your sins. And that no matter how it works out, it's going to turn over and it's going to be okay. And it's going to get better. And we pray that you will never have to face what happened in Idaho ever in your life. Because that was unfair to those children. They had their whole lives ahead of them. But God did have a plan. Whatever it was, he had a plan. And hopefully whatever good those kids did in life can be passed forward, paid forward. Prayers to all the children. Thank you all so much for following the content of this great network, which is now The Vault. If you have any suggestions, you can put it below on the video or on my community page. Happy New Year, everybody. I will be back with more content pertaining to this very macabre story out of Idaho. You have been listening to The Vault. Thank you. Thank you for my guests on the panel. Thank you so much. God bless all of you.